Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Rancho Mirage City Council for Thursday, March 20th. The City Council will also be sitting as the Library Board, Housing Authority Board, and the Redevelopment Successor Agency. Today we have a special guest with us, Franz Vogel, who is the mayor for a day. And Franz, would you like to lead us in the flag salute?
Yes, please. Everybody stand up.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, would you ask the clerk to do the roll call?
Please, clerk, do the roll call.
Councilmember Hines? Present. Councilmember Hobart?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Smotrich? Here. Councilmember
Here.
Weil? Mayor for the day Vogel?
Here.
And Mayor Kite?
Here. Okay, let's go down. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. And today we have a special guest with us, and this is Franz Vogel. Franz is the mayor for the day. This was a special silent auction item that was presented to Franz. He bid on it at the Rammy Awards, and it was an award that was put together by Mary Perry of Sunnylands. And to be mayor for the day, actually he's now mayor for 2 days because we did most of the events a couple of weeks ago, but we had lunch at one of our luxury restaurants in Rancho Mirage, Mimi's, and then we went on to Sunnylands where we had a great tour that Mary Perry gave us for about a half an hour of all of the insights of Sunnylands, and then we went to Station 69, which is our fire station off of Dinah Shore, and we had a great tour by Kathy Mitten. Didn't get to ride in the fire truck right as we got there. It was leaving, so no ride today. But then we went to the library and met David, and David gave us a tour of the library. So we had a great time, and I'm going to award this or give you this plaque for recognition of this special day. And it says, in his support of the Rammies, Mr. Vogel won the highest bid for Mayor of the Day award. This winning bid entitled him to Rancho Mirage Library, Sunnylands, Fire Station number 69, and lunch with the mayor, which was the best of the whole thing. Therefore, on behalf of the entire City Council, we hereby recognize Mr. Franz Vogel recognize Franz Vogel as mayor for the day, signed by Richard Kite, the mayor for the previous day. And so it was really a pleasure to have lunch with you and tour of the city. And would you like to say a few words?
Yes, please. Good afternoon. Also, I was really honored to win the prize and have lunch with the mayor. It was very entertaining. I found out a lot of news about the city, but no secrets, he told me. But then, but then the tour, I will have to say, I was very surprised and looked behind the scenes from the Rancho Mirage Library. It was very interesting. Also the fire station and of course the Annenberg Center. And I'm glad I'm not running for mayor, but because I'm not a good politician. But I'm really honored. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Just one question, Franz. Why did you want to be mayor for the day?
Just want to look behind the scenes a little bit. And when I was in Austria at one time, I was running for city council. Unfortunately, I lost. That's why I immigrated to the United States.
Well, it was great having you as mayor for the day. Hopefully The award will appear next year, and if you want to bid on it, you might see something different about the city. But thanks again for all that you've done and your contribution, and here is your certificate. Thank you.
Go Rattlers. Go Rattlers.
Go Rattlers.
At last, a letterman.
Yes. Okay, we'll get on with the presentations for the balance of today, and the next one is being introduced by our Councilman Ted Weil. Ted?
My pleasure. Mary, you want to start working your way up here? Mary Perry is the Deputy Director of Communications and Public Affairs for the Annenberg Retreat at Sunnylands. As we know, this extraordinary estate is the Camp David of the West, retreat for national and international leaders, and a host to President Obama twice this year. Mary is the local ambassador of Sunnylands and named Businesswoman of the Year by the Chamber of Commerce. And we're proud to call her one of our own. And Mary, welcome.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, the council, residents of Rancho Mirage. I think that this is the first time I've been back since President Obama left, correct? Mm-hmm. So on behalf of Sunnylands, thank you so much to the city government and to the citizens of Rancho Mirage and beyond for all their incredible support. It takes a village, as many, many people say, and it certainly does when we have the type of visitors who come to Sunnylands. So again, thank you so very much for your support. And as I think you know from today's Desert Sun, we are working currently with the Desert Sun as a partner on their water symposium. So we did host a reception last night, and that their work will continue today. They have some events going on, so we're very proud of that partnership as well. So normally I come here and do my thank yous and my little song and dance and remind you of things that are coming up at Sunnylands. So I'm going to take a few minutes to do just that. So tomorrow's Friday, so yoga in the gardens at noon, free, just come and enjoy. And we'll be doing that through April. Our intention is to take a break for the summer because it will be a little warm to be out there at noon to do yoga, but please do come and join us. March at Sunnylands has become our traditional month of music on Sundays, so we have 2 more Sundays left in the month, the 23rd and the 30th, so please do come out. Again, a totally free event. Wonderful music at Sunnylands, goes 11 to, I believe, 1. Next week, we have an event that I'm going to tell you about, but it's sold out, and that's the Sunnylands Cuisine revisited for today's palette. But the reason I want to tell you, even though it's sold out, is that coming to the event, you get a copy of the brand new Sunnylands cookbook, A Taste of Sunnylands, which again was featured in the Desert Sun earlier this week. And that cookbook will be for sale in our store. And as I know I've told you before, we have a number of books that Sunnylands has produced. We lovingly refer to ourselves as the Sunnylands Press. And all of those books are available online. So anyone who's looking for more information about Sunnylands, whether it's the cookbook, about a current exhibition, about the incredible gardens, can find all those books online, so as well as in the store. We have 2 more family days remaining for this year. One is on April 20th. That one has, we've had that one for several years now, focused on bugs, and we're going to expand that a little bit, and it's going to be bugs, birds, and blooms. So lots of activities for the whole family on Sunday the 20th. We also have another one on May 18th. That'll be the last one of the year, and that one's about sculpture. So we will have some sculpting taking place in the gardens, as well as activities that people can try their own hands at it. We have one more library lecture this year. That's on April 21st, another free activity. At 2 o'clock, in our own Micheline Gallagher, our Director of Education and Sustainable Programs, will be talking about sustainability and the partnerships at Sunnylands. We have plein air days that are continuing through the next couple of months. We'll be busy as those little bugs who are in the gardens through the rest of the year, and then, as you know, we will be closed in July and August during the heat of the summer and reopen in September. So does anyone have any questions about Sunnylands or anything else I could answer questions about?
No, we're just so proud of having Sunnylands in our city. It's just a tremendous asset, and it's world famous, and we thank you for all your effort.
Thank you.
Mary, can you just briefly talk about the tours of the estate?
Absolutely. The tours will continue through June as well. And tour tickets can be purchased online. They are released on the 1st and 15th of every month. They were released on the 15th of this month. I'm told we set a record of 9 minutes for the tickets being gone. But what I always tell locals, the time to come to Sunnylands is May, June, September, and October. Because we're not fighting for those reservations. As locals, we have sort of a better shot because there aren't quite as many people here. And the secret is that during those really hot months, we actually show a part of Sunnylands that we don't show during the rest of the year, and that's the kitchen. So if you can just be patient and try and get tickets for June and then again in September, I think that hopefully we'll meet your needs.
Okay, and they'll be preparing food out of that?
Well, actually, I am. I'll be baking brownies because they say, right, when you visit a house, you should smell the cookies. So, give me your wish list, and we'll see what I can do.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks for being here
Thank you
today.
so much.
Thanks, Mary.
And Mary, thanks again for participating in the Mayor for the Day event, too. It was really appreciated. Okay, we're now going to move on to non-agenda public items. And these are items which are not on the agenda, and you're allowed to speak on them for 3 minutes. And I would just like to remind you that these are nonpartisan comments, and they should not be concerning the current election that's going on in Rancho Mirage. So we'll start with Dave Thornton.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor Kites and Mayor Vogel and City Council members. I'm Dave Thornton, and I'm the Executive Director of Angel View. And Angel View is celebrating its 60th birthday this year in the Valley. And we're very proud of our organization because we have a great mission, and we serve the neediest of the needy, and those with developmental disabilities, with severe disabilities. And I just wanted to come here and thank you all very much for your support of our agency. You've just been a wonderful support. It helps us provide our mission to very needy people, and the cost of medical care these days is just astronomical. And because our people have so many medical issues, it just requires a whole lot of money to keep everything going and get them to specialists and so on. And so the grant that you responded to was for our food program. It helps with the food in our different 19 group homes throughout the valley, our day program in Desert Hot Springs, as well as our outreach program throughout the valley to serve children under the age of 18 with severe disabilities. So God bless you all. Thank you for your support and your continued support. So have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Dave, and we appreciate all your organization does for the Valley. It's very important to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to speak on any non-agenda item? Yes, would you come forward, please? And your name and address, please?
Robert Garner, Rancho Mirage, California, previously Republican candidate for Congress, 1994. I didn't win. But anyway, I was depressed. Yesterday was my birthday, and I was 39. You can see I'm getting younger, and like Jack Benny. And I was so sad because they don't play the Three Stooges movies on the Turner Channel anymore. But then I turned on CNN and I saw Barry Obama, John Kerry, and John McCain. I said, we got the Three Stooges back. So I had a happy birthday. So I came here today to tell you, I'm sorry that Herbert Walker Bush had that meeting in 1989 with Dr. Kissinger and Dr. Brzezinski, where they figured out they could use the Chechen terrorists to bring down Russia and the Chinese Muslim terrorists from Xinjiang province to bring the Chinese down. And we see the airliner hijack and the Xinjiang terrorists cut people up. But the thing is, President Kennedy said, let's look to the future. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And what I'd like Rancho Mirage to do is to take that step and to become the first city to introduce the solar rooftop initiative in the United States of America. It costs $40,000 to do a solar rooftop. Why not have a lottery? There's widower who died, they can't afford the electric bill, they're going to be driven out of their home. Let them win the lottery and appropriate $40,000. Do that first solar roof so she or he can stay in that home and let it go across on CNBC, let it go across the world, that the jewel of the Coachella Valley, the playground of presidents. I shook hands with Jack. He used to come here. I worked on Bobby's campaign. We walked our dogs together. Bobby used to come here. Had Bobby been elected president at his right hand at the age of 24, I may be coming before you today as the president of the United States. And if I were, I would say we need to solarize this country, and we can do it with a 75% federal tax rebate to homeowners, and the other 1% from a 1% loan from our own Treasury Department through banks of the Treasury in every shopping center. Wall Street, you can't equal that. We'll pay 10% on deposits too. Wall Street, can you equal that? Didn't think so. Shut you down. Hey, I'm from New York. We'll put a nice historic sign with a map of New York in front of you. Big banks, Chase.
Going to have to ask you to wrap up.
Yeah, I will. Can you equal that? Can you pay 10% loan up? Didn't think so. Go back to trust, safe deposit boxes. Like President Jackson, the money supply run for the people, of the people, by the people. But can you do the solar rooftop initiative and become the city in the United States to take that first step for President Kennedy and to lead the way to a new day in a solar America? And viva JFK.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to speak on a non-agenda item? Seeing none, we'll now move on to the next item, which is City Council and board member comments. And I'll begin with Iris. Iris, do you have any comments for today?
Yes, thank you. And welcome, everyone, especially the cute little dog sitting in the front there is fast asleep. Anyway, you've heard me speak very often about our closed captioning that is coming to our chamber and that will be, of course, televised on our Rancho Mirage television. So I'm pleased to announce that all equipment, software, and accessories have been purchased and services have been established with the providers. All equipment has been received except for the transcoder, which we expect to receive next week. The received pieces have been installed and are currently being configured and tested. Our web developer is configuring the video player for the city website, and we will be testing next week. Once the transcoder is received, we can fully test the system and run some mock-up meeting tests. We anticipate that the testing will be starting late next week or the following week. So, as we move ahead with this project, which I am really pleased with, as I'm sure all of our hearing impaired viewers are, I will be able to provide some additional updates once the last piece is received and put into place, and we will finally get this system operational, and I'm just thrilled that it's moved along so beautifully. So thank you again, and thank you for your patience for all those people that are hearing impaired, and for the ones that come and visit here and in the library. You can always get a device at our front desk, and certainly make your own hearing right here a little bit better as you watch the council meeting. So thank you. And thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Iris. It's really exciting about getting to that point that we're going to be able to offer the service to our residents. Dana?
Well, it'll be my pleasure to introduce Stacy, who's going to introduce Starry and Glory. Oh, goodness gracious, what have we here? Well, here, let me...
Okay, you have Glory. These are little sisters. They came out of the shelter. Everybody says, what are they? Terriers. They have freckles on them, which might make them a Chinese crested at some point. As you can tell, they are extremely bonded, so they do get adopted together from loving all animals. We have a lot of dogs up for adoption. We do get shelter dogs. We put them in a foster home. So when you get them, they're housebroken, they're trained, but these two are just very, very bonded. They do love each other and must go together. We have dogs available to look at this weekend, March 22nd on Saturday at the Palm Canyon Theater. It's a dog talent and fashion show that the theater is putting on. Our dogs will be there for adoption. They have no talent other than to love you and be dogs. So that's this Saturday. We also have a free spay, neuter, zooter event out in Mecca. This is pulled together by all the people in our community. Too many to mention. We do give credit in the Desert Sun, who have pitched in, who have donated money so we can get spay, neuter, zooter for animals in the East Valley. It is critical that we help those people. They love their pets just as much as we do, but can't afford the vet care. So there you go. That's Friday and Saturday in Mecca. You must have an appointment. There will be other appointments to follow.
Well, that was wonderful. Anybody who's rescued a dog, I don't know of one exception to this, and I mention this so that you'd be thinking in terms of Glory and Starry. I don't know of one couple, one person who has ever adopted a dog that within a couple of weeks, within a week usually, but within 2 weeks, hasn't said, you know, fate brought us together. This is the perfect dog, or in this case, these are the perfect dogs for us. So let me just remind people, the City of Rancho Mirage does pick up the tab up to $100 for the adoption of pets from local agencies. We help immensely. But we really have to get off the dime. People who are thinking in terms of adopting have got to start doing it. We are having a real crisis in unadopted animals. And thank goodness for people like Loving All Animals and the other groups that come here with their dogs. But it takes you to make this all work. So, Stacy, thank you very much. Give our best to everybody at Loving All Animals. And, goodness gracious.
We love shedding on you each week. Thank you very, very much.
Badge of honor.
Dana, did you have anything else for today?
No, I did not, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott.
I just want to say a real word of thanks to all the many people that helped with a variety of events this week. We were kind of jam-packed. We had the State of the City address and the library luncheon and then also the speaker series. And just thank you so much to all of our community volunteers and to our staff here at City Hall for the great work. It was a lot all in 1 week, and yet you pulled it off magnificently as always, and it was a really enriching week for our citizens. So great job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ted? No comment. Okay. I'd like to just say a few words about one of the events that Scott just mentioned, the State of the City meeting, which was this past Tuesday. The Chamber of Commerce's annual State of the City luncheon was presented at the Agua Caliente Resort and Spa. This year, the event was jointly held by the city and the chamber with excellent results. Over 230 people attended the event. 7 tables were sponsored by city businesses and 2 by commissioners that were represented through the Race to Be Ready event and also the cultural festival. We also had Charles Townsend welcome the assembly and acknowledge the many dignitaries that were there. Ken Wagner, the principal of the new Rancho Mirage High School, introduced myself as an alumnus of the school district and honored me with the first ever Rancho Mirage High School letterman's jacket. Ken shared the audience, or shared with the audience, a report on the school's first year of operation. And then finally, Doug Watson, the general manager of the Ritz-Carlton, shared an inspiring film about the Ritz guest experience, and then he commented about the opening of the resort. Doug stated that he looks forward to greeting us all on May 15th at the Ritz-Carlton Rancho Mirage. And also, the Rancho Mirage Show Choir and freshman cheerleaders entertained the crowd with two enthusiastic songs that moved all the guests to clap and cheer at the end of the program. My thanks to all the chamber and the city staff members that worked so hard to make this year's State of the City one of the best ever. And I'd like to thank again the school district, Palm Springs Unified School District, where I graduated from some 50 years ago. And so I finally got my letterman's jacket after waiting all that time. Doesn't say Palm Springs, but it does say Rancho Mirage. And Rancho Mirage is already starting a Class A sports program, and we'll see a lot about them over the next couple of years. So I'm going to take off this coat before it cooks me. And again, Rancho Mirage, go Gators. Rattlers. Go Rattlers.
Go Gators. Richard, you want to say something about that? One thing additional that we should mention for those who are interested in the programs that we have at the library from time to time, meaning every other day or so. We have Marx Madness with the Marx Brothers, hosted by Bill Marx. And our local producers are Rob Bader, Joel Dockmeister Hochberg, Bill Marx himself, and oddly, Mrs. Rittenhouse Upton. We have a blue ribbon panel of Andy Marx, Bob Marx, Minnie Marx Eagle, and David Misch. And this program is going to be at Saturday and Sunday, March 22nd and March 23rd. On the 22nd, Saturday, 7 p.m., and the next day, Sunday, March 23rd, 2 p.m. Marx Madness, and it should be just a hilarious thing. And anybody who wants the book that goes with this, contact the library, and I think David Bryan will make sure you get a copy of it. But this is going to be just a very super and special event that we request, ask all of you who have got some time to visit the library on Sunday or Saturday to please join us.
Thank you, Dana.
Mr. Mayor, I can't wait for that event.
Yes, 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 yes. Very good.
Good for you.
I don't think the eyebrows match, though, very well. So.
Oh,
Okay,
that's not your nose. I thought it was just the glasses.
Take it easy.
Oh.
Okay, we'll now move on to the next item, which is the approval of the minutes from February 20th, the regular meeting, and February 28th, special meeting.
So moved.
Mayor, I'll need to abstain from the second set
Yeah,
of
we should
minutes.
probably vote on these separately. If we could have a motion on the February 20th minutes.
I'll
So
make a
moved.
motion on the
Okay.
first part, the February 20th.
Please vote.
February 20th.
And motion carries 5-0. And could I have a motion for the special meeting of February 28th?
I'll make a motion for that.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote. And the motion carries 4-0 with Councilman Hines abstaining. Okay, we'll now move on to the consent calendar. And the consent calendar usually contains items that are routine in nature, and they can be approved by one blanket motion. And is there any item that the council would like to pull out from the consent calendar? No? Is there any item that the audience would like more discussion on? Okay, I'll then turn it over to Randy Binder, our city manager. Randy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Your consent calendar today starts with item number 1, which would waive full reading of the ordinances that would be introduced or adopted pursuant to today's agenda. Item number 2 on consent is a cleanup ordinance that the City Council would adopt that would appoint myself, the city manager, or a designee as the city's administrative appeal hearing officer in place of the Desert Bar Association, which does not want to do that anymore. Item number 3 on your consent calendar is approval of the Whitewater Park expansion and amphitheater project construction documents. This is city project number 12-284. You might remember that the City Council approved this project back in October of last year. This is approval of the final construction drawings, and Public Works Department expects that the award of contract will be on your second meeting in May for approval, and that construction could start in June and completion in the spring of 2015. Item number 4 on your consent calendar is approval of a contract city project number 13-304 for the Whitewater Wash concrete slope protection staining project in the amount of $89,000 plus a 10% contingency. And the motion would also allow me to execute the contract for the work. The City Council, representing the successor agency, approved this project on your last ROP schedule in the amount of $150,000, so $89,000 is much lower than we anticipated that project would cost. And Sarah, can you just show the one photo of the before and after, how the Whitewater Channel would look? The other one? Oh yeah, they're not side by side, huh? So that's the idea. And then if you could show the aerial photograph. Well, they're upside down, but that one there is close to the library, on either side of the library, including the concrete riprap. And then also the other one is on both sides of Frank Sinatra Drive. So that'll give a nice look instead of the gray concrete that's out there.
Randy, who's going to clean it up? Who's going to clean it out?
It is, this bid includes cleaning it out. Cleaning it out and, go ahead.
Yeah, the bid doesn't include cleaning out the whole wash from one side to the other with all the dirt that's collected over. We're just going to be cleaning out the sides so we can stain the slope lining. And then eventually the wash will be cleaned out once we build the bridge. That'll all be cleaned out at the bottom.
Okay.
The staining is on the sides, not on the bottom. Right. That's a before and after in another location.
Okay. Maybe Bruce could address the graffiti problem that a number of places have. Is that, I know it's a wonderful surface they're going to be applying, but is that going to be resistant to graffiti, and is it easily cleanable if we do get any?
Yeah, we're thinking that lots of times these people that do graffiti will do it on things that aren't artistic. For example, you won't see graffiti over a mural or some types of wall treatments that are somewhat, architecturally pleasing to look at. We're thinking that when we stain this concrete lining, it's going to have that natural look to where they may not want to paint on it as much as they would a flat concrete canvas or a flat concrete wall or things like that. If we do get graffiti on it, it can easily be removed, and this material can be sprayed back over the top, and you wouldn't even know it was there. What we're seeing now is they go out with concrete colored paints and they try to block out the graffiti, and it stands out like really bad, and lots of times they can't match the color, so you might have a white color and a gray color so it's looking really, so this will hopefully eliminate most of that graffiti stuff we have in the wash and allow us to repair it much easier than what they do now with the concrete paints.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Item number 5 on your consent calendar is approval of the annual reports of the city and library commissions and boards. You receive these annual reports usually in the second meeting in March, which is today's March 20th meeting. The city has 11 boards and commissions. All of the annual reports are in your packet, and the reports have been prepared by the staff liaison and approved by the commission and the respective boards. Item number 6 on your consent calendar is award of contract for the Whitewater Park expansion children's playground shade structure to USA Shade and Fabric Structures in the amount of $85,790. And this would fabricate and install all 3 shade structures as outlined in the proposal that was dated March 7th. This is actually a savings of about $12,000 for the city to contract directly with the manufacturer and installer for this project. And you'll also recall that we changed to these structures from the previous ones, which I think saved about $50,000 to start with. Item number 7 on your consent calendar is approval of contracts. A couple to point out is the Albert Webb and Associates contract, $294,000 for the design of several intersections in the city, and another one is $135,000 for the library solar project, engineering cost and cost analysis. Item number 8, Mr. Mayor, are demands, and we are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of staff regarding the consent calendar? No? Is there anybody in the audience who would like to ask a question concerning the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none?
Oh, I'm sorry. There is 6A.
There is 6A?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. That was the supplemental agenda that was added, and item number 6A is on page 6A.
Well, how about that?
Award of contract for the Median Island Landscape and Rehabilitation Project on Bob Hope Drive and Frank Sinatra Drive, City Projects 12-276 and 12-278, to be awarded to the lowest responsive bidder, Earth Sculptures, in the amount of $810,000 and a contingency of $81,000. And also that it would reject the lowest bidder, Golden Valley Construction, Golden Vista Construction, as its bid was determined by staff and the city attorney's office to be non-responsive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to discuss item 6A? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion from the council to accept the consent calendar?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And the motion carries 5-0. We would normally go on to public hearings at this point, item number 9, but we would like to move up one item under the action calendar, and that's item number 10, the request for the city sponsorship of the 2014 Craft Nabisco Championship. And I believe our marketing manager, Robert Barrett, is going to discuss this. Robert?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. April 1st through the 6th, just 2 weeks, we will enjoy the 43rd playing of the Craft Nabisco Championship in our city. And here to tell you about it and to request sponsorship for this year is Gabe Cotting, the tournament director.
Thank you, Robert, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and City staff. It's my privilege and honor to again present to you a proposal for the 43rd Craft Nabisco Championship, this event that's been held at Mission Hills Country Club since 1972, second only to Augusta National in terms of the tenure in the same location. This will be our 8th year of financial sponsorship and partnership as our television distribution continues to grow to 34 plus hours on the Golf Channel, and then be distributed to 160 different countries and territories, available in over 400 million homes worldwide, and largely the top 115 women golfers in the world from 28 different countries will be here in just a couple weeks, and largely an Olympic-sized field here in Rancho Mirage for the same for the 43rd year. After 2 sessions with the tourism subcommittee, we came to an agreement, and we heard loud and clear. On top of the normal deliverables that we've provided to the city, it was requested that a more comprehensive branding, on-site branding package be delivered, and so we're prepared to do that with a series of an entrance billboard, signage, along with our tournament signage. Our look and feel has always been just the tournament logo and mark. The city logo will be accompanied with that on all the entrances for patrons, all the exits, the brand napkins with the with the quotes about Rancho Mirage, did you know, those are going to be all around all of our concession areas and all around all of our catering areas, and then a series of other branding elements that will include. So everyone that comes to the tournament, there will be no mistake that they are in Rancho Mirage and that there is a historic tie between our event and the city of Rancho Mirage. So we are presenting a proposal for the same amount that we did last year, for the $200,000. That includes all the deliverables from last year, as well as the comprehensive branding, on-site branding package. And we really look forward to a continued partnership.
Thank you, Gabe. Is there anybody that has a question of Gabe? Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Gabe, for being here today, and good luck on the 43rd edition.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
So, Mr. Mayor and council members, the staff recommends that the City Council approve a $200,000 sponsorship for the 2014 Kraft Nabisco Championship. $150,000 is previously budgeted, and $50,000 to be included in the 2013-14 mid-year budget adjustments.
Any questions of staff?
Robert, we're going to have increased signage as far as the entry is concerned and so forth. Do we have any plans for additional exposure, for example, around the river or the Rancho Las Palmas Shopping Center, or any sort of identification as it relates to the tournament and the city?
The tournament already has signage out in front of Starbucks at the river. It's up, and are there any other plans for the river?
So the river, there's rack cards in most of the restaurants, and most of the there's also the two-sided banners at the valet. So there's presence there. The amphitheater banner, that whole amphitheater is all branded the tournament, and then with all the banners up in the city. That for the river, there's also a key insert, like an insert in all the key cards for all the Rancho Mirage hotels. And then there's also a presence in Rancho Las Palmas and Agua Caliente, who are our two official hotels for this year.
This is our third year with the key cards, which we run a month before the tournament, so all guests that stay at a hotel receives their key card with the branding on one side, the hotel information on the other, to remind them that the tournament's about to come, in hopes that they will book their rooms and come back in a few weeks to enjoy the tournament.
And this year, there's an insert in there that offers them, if they bring that card to the gate, they get the advanced pricing, the online pricing. So it's a $10 off, essentially, coupon that's included in their key packet.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Could I ask a question?
Sure, Dana.
Either Robert or Gabe, either one of you or both of you, would you explain to us how this gets the name Rancho Mirage out worldwide, and how you figure the resulting traffic to Rancho Mirage comes from an event like this?
So in an event like this, there's about 400 million impressions, media impressions, that are surrounded by an event like this. Most of them come from press releases, articles worldwide that are surrounding the players in the field. There's really only a couple things that transfer in that. Usually every press release is Rancho Mirage, California, dated that first and foremost, then the article or the press release information. So first and foremost, it's listed everything in our campaign. There's the tournament logo, the country club, and then the city of Rancho Mirage where it's located. So those three elements carry on through all of our campaign and all of our marketing materials. Then you have all the press releases, so every article that's written about us and about the tournament internationally has the Rancho Mirage. And then secondly, it's the same with the tournament coverage. Our commercial units don't transfer international, but when we're on for 20 hours of live coverage in China, it's the course, the mountain backdrop, and then of course from Rancho Mirage, California. So that's really the ROI back to the city.
You remember, Councilman Hobart, that when we first started working with the tournament some years ago, many of us were dismayed when the on-air TV announcers would say, "Here we are in Southern California," or "Here we are in Palm Springs." So by contract, we have come to an agreement that they say, whenever they mention where the tournament is located, that they are here in Rancho Mirage, heart of the Palm Springs Valley, connecting us to with the destination that a global audience may be aware of, Palm Springs, but also stating our name. And considering that this reaches many million households around the world, and travelers that are inclined to be our consumers, a very sophisticated golfer audience, this is probably the least expensive and most effective advertising that we undertake, because the tournament looks as if it's being televised from heaven. It's so beautiful. And when the announcers say, here we are in Rancho Mirage, heart of the Palm Springs Valley. The girls are so attractive. Their athleticism is so great. The people are so happy. We couldn't have any expression of how great we are as a place to visit and enjoy. So I think that this is a terrific investment for the city of Rancho Mirage, considering the amount that we spend.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you, Robert. Any other questions?
Yes. My understanding is that I just want to get confirmation, Isaiah, that from a budgetary standpoint, we have sufficient funds based upon budget adjustments that this would not create any sort of a deficit of any kind, and there would be ample funds based upon an allocation, whatever that might be, to be sufficient to cover it and not put us in a deficit situation. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Want to thank staff for all the work that they did on this, and thank the council subcommittee between Dana and Iris. You guys really worked a lot of time putting this together. Good job. Okay, could I have a motion, please, on this?
Sure. I would move that the City Council approve a $200,000 sponsorship for the 2014 Craft Nabisco Championship, $150,000 as previously budgeted, and $50,000 to be included in the 2013-2014 mid-year budget adjustment.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion and a second. Would you please vote? And the vote is 5-0, and congratulations to Craft Nabisco. We'll be there to see who jumps into Poppy's Pond this year.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll now move on, go back to the item which we delayed, and we'll go back to the public hearing, which is item number 9, consideration of Verlaine Estates project located at 70390 Sunny Lane. And I believe Greg Truesdale, the associate planner, is going to be working on this today. Greg?
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. Verlaine Ventures LLC has filed 5 applications in order to complete and expand the Tangerine Lane Estates subdivision that has remained unfinished since 2009. The vacant site is 6.86 acres and located east of the Sterling Cove development, west of Phase 1 of Tract 31800, which there are 4 homes, and north of Sunny Lane. A small park exists at Sunny Lane and Palmview Road, both public streets. Tangerine Lane, a public street, has access on Palmview Road. Because of the past obligations of Tract 31800 with Rick Johnson, the city requested that Verlaine Ventures enter into a development agreement to define the terms and conditions of development of 18 single-family homes using tentative tract map 36623, which is highlighted on the screen. So we only included a few items on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see that they're going to finish the Tangerine Lane Street in blue. It will go from existing now as a public street, Stubb Street, to being completed and running all the way over to Sunny Lane. However, it will be a private street maintained by the HOA and built by the developer, no city funds. There's an obligation to take stormwater from the Colony Mobile Home Park, as noted in red in the far corner. That obligation would be fulfilled by the developer again along Lot 5. Going into the street, it will be underground piping, 36-inch, and will transition out to the existing storm drain in Sunny Lane. Another obligation is that since the housing portion was not submitted with the tract map. That item is deferred. However, in the development agreement, the housing sizes specified would be 3,100 square feet up to and over 4,100 square feet. At the Planning Commission meeting, there was some discussion along that line. I'll address that later in the report, but the original agreement called for 2,700 square feet to over 4,000. Again, HOA will maintain the new development, and there was a staff work with the developer to determine what the cost should be to maintain the park basin that was installed in Phase 1, and it was indicated that development with the 18 lots plus the 4 that are out there, all the homeowners would pay $810.59 per year to maintain the park. In 2013, staff reviewed a few different land plans for this site with the developer. This exhibit reflects the December 3rd design, which entails 18 single-family lots, which range from 10,819 square feet to over 25,000 square feet, with 2 new retention basin lots by Sunny Lane. To complete Tangerine Lane, private streets A and B will be built. Although a private street is planned, the street will not be gated. So that slide 5 shows delineation between the site's RL2 and RM designations. Changing the site to RL3 would permit up to 20 dwelling units per acre, but with the tract map and the development agreement, only 18 single-family lots will be permitted, or a density of 2.6 units per acre. Tangerine Lane Estates density was originally 1.84 dwelling units per acre. Prior to the February Planning Commission meeting, I was asked to research the land use history of those particular parcels, and so I went ahead and looked back through city documents, and this screen basically reflects that over time, both of those properties out there have been either 3 or 4 or up to 5 units per acre. However, currently, the south half that was added by the developer outside the original Rick Johnson tract is, of course, RM, 4 units per acre, and then the north side of this property is RL2, which is 2 units per acre. Staff has added the grading notes to slide 17. As you can see, along the north side, next to the Collingwood Home Park, actual fact, the lots are lower, 1.5 to 3 feet lower. Adjacent, and actually internally, they're within 1 foot of each other if you look at the internal part of it. On the far side, it kind of goes from 0 at the base, basically next to the retention basin, up to 1.5 up by lot 6, adjacent to Sterling Cove. That issue came, there was a gentleman who spoke at Sterling Cove meeting regarding that particular height. It's 6 inches lower than the previous approval. However, at the meeting, the plus side is by moving the storm drain to the street. Previously, the storm drain would have run along the backside of that lot all the way down to Sunny Lane. So now the developer can actually landscape the backyard, and it was indicated by the developer that he would work with those property owners, the 2 property owners that maybe have 1 foot higher than the 2 pads that are proposed, work with them on both landscaping and additional wall height. So those things are being discussed outside of this, but were previously discussion items. And then in red along the outside streets show the existing homes and their relationship to the tract. The 2 largest lots in the development, which are half-acre lots, are adjacent to the existing homes, except for on the northerly lot adjacent to the home at 36715. So the way the track is designed and conditioned would be that anything that's in the northern part that was involved with the Rick Johnson portion would have the availability because the retention basin was designed to accept water from that area to the existing basin. The 6 lots that were added adjacent to Sunny Lane, those would in fact drain to the 2 new lots, the 2 new basin lots on Sunny Lane. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Actually, the project engineer brought in a couple of additional slides today that he wanted to present to the council. So those slides will be coming after my presentation. This exhibit is in the staff report. I just highlighted a couple items in red for the residents' pleasure plus the council, showing basically some of the differences between on the far right, the existing homes of record, and then the new submittal by Verlaine Ventures. So you're showing that the lot sizes would be 10,800 plus versus the original, which were averaging around 17,000. That being able to do that, of course, is changing the land use to an R3 category. So again, you go down, scroll down, minimum lot size, 10,000 is RL3, RL2 is 15,000. Move down further, what type of homes? There are 4 custom houses out there. The developer is going to be proposing semi-custom homes. Where would the setbacks be measured from? Since we're allowing a private street, because they're going to maintain it instead of a public street, setbacks are measured from back of curb. The original would have been measured from back of the public utility easement. And again, noting the street configuration change, last column. This exhibit was prepared for the development agreement denoting common areas and easements for tract 36623. Again, only single-family lots within the boundaries of the original tract can drain to the existing basin, and that'll be subject to, again, the final hydrology report. So, again, lots 9 through 11, 12 through 14 can drain to lots C and D. Everything else has the advantage to go to the green or the existing park site. As the developer was basically building the entire street, one of the applications that came in a little later, I believe it came in October, was a request to do a street name change. So the street name change, since they were basically building almost 800 feet of street, they were hoping the existing residents would buy into the name change from Tangerine Lane to Verlaine Drive. They have received some positive, although we also heard some negative about that particular change. And I'll go and just go through a couple of slides of the existing site. So this is Sunny Lane looking north towards the Colony Mobile Home Park. This is Sunny Lane looking back west towards basically have the retention basin far left and then the homes for Sterling Cove. Existing phase 1 home on Sunny Lane, lot 4. This is across the street of Sunny Lane. This is a view from Palmview Road looking back towards the home that fronts, you can see in the background, fronts Sunny Lane. In the report, we noted that after the Planning Commission meeting, some of the residents asked staff to go out with the developer and the engineering group to go see if the finished grade for the existing park was correct. And what we found was when it was built without the sidewalk, the as-built were correct. Subsequently, when the sidewalk was built, the area was, in fact, about a foot higher. So with that, the basin height's a little bit higher. So what we found out is that we needed to add another condition, which is condition 34, which is in the staff report, showing that we needed an existing overflow pipe from the basin underneath the sidewalk to go out to Sunny Lane. So some of the neighbors met with staff, and the developer indicated that solution would be acceptable to them. They would design it, pay for it, and construct it as part of the project. So some of the residents are aware of that, and that was something that was agreed to in his proposed condition. Another house on Lot 3, Phase 1. Farther up, another, I think the final house. We had Lot 2 and then Lot 1 at the Tangerine Lane. This shows the street where it ends currently. To the right is the Colony Mobile Home Park, and then towards the mountains would have been the Sterling Cove. This shows the back existing wall and the mobile homes beyond. Across the street, Cypress Estates entry and the Parkway. And this is the entry to Sterling Cove, which is a development to the west. This is an item that came up at the Planning Commission meeting as well. We found some additional material after the Planning Commission meeting. What we found was there was a request in 2003 for the fire marshal at that time to review the existing storm drainage area, plus there was an idea that it could be a fire access road that would actually connect with the property in question. The fire marshal at that time indicated, and we do have the letter, I have it here, indicated that it's too narrow, wouldn't work. Based on that, the city went back to the property owner and subsequently created a quitclaim deed, which was recorded with the County of Riverside, relieving the city of Rancho Mirage from any obligation to install the fire access lane for the Colony Mobile Home Park, because the fire marshal indicated that the two gates that exist presently between the gatehouse configuration are acceptable for the amount of homes that are in there. So that document is Riverside County document 2005-0367466, and I do have copies of that here if people want to see that. This was looking north originally into the Colony Mobile Home Park where it comes from the International Road. At the February 13th Planning Commission meeting, since the developer we had all the applications, but we didn't have architectural plans. So there were many people that thought that we should have had the architectural plans there as well. Since we didn't, many people thought that it was just a lot development, and then maybe the developers are going to just sell it off. So we had a lot of discussion back and forth. A number of people that were there thought the project should be similar to Phase 1. With that, the Planning Commission actually voted to basically deny the project. So after the Planning Commission's recommendation to Council, the developer has met, I believe, on a few occasions with various entities surrounding the property, and has basically showed some conceptual architectural plans as well as some other design concepts and other past history with the Rick Johnson development. So I believe, and we've received some letters now of support for the project, and so it'll be interesting to see what some of the conversation is today once the public hearing is open. But we do have people changing their minds since they've met with the builder on site to look at some of the other options. Matter of fact, this was one of the presentation documents that the developer gave out to some of the residents, and they thought that the Phase 1 homeowners and even some of the homeowners in the surrounding area have indicated that just seeing these two, they thought was a pretty good indication of the type of architecture that would be involved. This was one of the exhibits that was presented after the meeting as well, kind of showing that if you built the original design on the north, and since they bought the original Shevlin lot piece, 2.27 acres, which is a RM designation, That was something the engineer did for the developer to kind of show a possible different kind of solution if you left the R2 above and built the original development, and then you added the new section on Sunny Lane with the smaller lots under the R4, or the 4 unit per acre design. That may be one solution. As well, after the packet went out, staff met with the developer again. So we would be recommending delete condition 10, which is hydrology condition on page 9-37, as well as deleting the last sentence on condition 67, which is a discussion regarding the HOA, trying to add maybe the phase 1 homeowners into it. So that's page 9-53. What we found is that the condition to require an HOA of phase 1 was stricken and not a requirement, therefore one does not exist. So the developer is fine with creating an HOA, basically containing his obligations for the 18 lots that are being discussed. This exhibit kind of is a project overview, again just showing the lot sizes, where the common lots are, again a private street's being proposed, and the request to change the street name. I do have should the council decide, if the council decide to move forward and reverse the Planning Commission's recommendation, one item is not in your packet. I do have the resolution for the track map. The original findings were with the Planning Commission. They just opted to deny the project, so I have that here as well, basically changing out attachment 17, moving it, and then moving attachment 17 to 18. So staff would recommend that the City Council open the public hearing to determine if residents of the area have changed their opinion of the 18-lot subdivision, and whether or not the City Council should either deny the project or, as an option, approve the project subject to the recommended findings and conditions and changes as noted in the report and here today. And there is the developer. I met briefly with the developer prior to the meeting. They have, I guess yesterday and today, added a couple presentation PowerPoint packages that Sarah has added that they would like to show for the audience on some of the things that they've talked to the property owners about. And also today we did receive a preliminary submittal. I actually have it over on the table, which was 3 of their house plans that they've talked about, with 2 elevations per plan that they've talked about. So we did receive the preliminary package. It's an unpaid application, but they wanted our comments, and I believe that they may show some of those graphics here today. So that would conclude my report.
Thank you, Greg. Is there any questions of staff from council?
I have a couple of questions. I'd like to know how many of the houses, in which of the houses that are on the west side that are next to Sterling Estates have more than a 6-inch pad elevation higher than the property at Sterling Estates. Which ones and how much different height are they?
I think there were 3. We'll pull the slide up in just a second. Let me see which that was.
Councilman, did you say more than 6 inches?
Yes.
All right, so
Well, why don't you give me the whole thing? What is the difference from zero with respect to higher pad elevations on the easterly side?
Pat?
And is there a page in here you're looking at?
I pulled this out of the packet. It's a fold-up.
Yeah, it should be coming up in just a second.
Fold-up.
So it's actually, I was thinking it
There it
was
is.
3,
Oh,
but it's, so
okay.
you have, first one's even,
There it
starting at
is.
the south part, then it goes to 0.5, which is half foot.
Just
Point-
second place. Okay. Okay, which ones now?
If you're going from,
Let's start at the top, lot number 6.
yeah, you have 1.5,
What's it, I'm sorry,
1.5 feet,
1.5 feet?
yes. And I think it drops to 1.2. The next lot is 0.8.
And then what? Enunciate.
They're on the screen right here.
Oh,
Right there, they're showing those.
oh, those are the pad elevations. Okay, 1.2, 0.8.
0.5, 0, and then 3.5.
Yeah, the one is 3.5 at the bottom is adjacent to the retention basin. So you're right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. What's been the response of the Sterling Estates people with respect to that difference in elevation, just that point alone?
I think they've wanted the developer to work with them to possibly add a course or two to the existing, because there are some areas that out there that have quite a large landscaping way above the wall height, but as you transition north, there were 2 owners, I believe, that wanted the developer to either add to the wall or landscape behind them when he develops to screen the property. And he was receptive to that.
Do we have any formal, has anybody from Sterling Estates made any particular request with respect to those pad elevations?
Bud, can you answer that question, please?
I mean, if it's not an issue to them, it's not an issue to me necessarily, but if it is an issue to them, I'd like to know about it.
Certainly. Thank you, Bud Kopp, Planning Manager. Greg did mention that the one lot in the very back that's 1.5 feet above the Sterling Cove lot.
Lot number 6?
Yes, lot number 6. That one is 1.5 feet above the nearest lot in Sterling Cove. And then lot number 7 is at 270, and then the homes right in back of that are right just over 269. So they're going to be within about a foot. This new development for Lane would be 1 foot higher than the one in Sterling Cove in that instance. And then lot number 8 is at 269.8, with the home in back of that being about 0.8 of a foot lower. So we're getting closer to the half foot that you mentioned, but there are 3 lots proposed that do exceed that 6 inches. Then you get back into basically a situation where the lots are more or less even. Lot number 10, for example, is at 268.3. The one in Sterling Cove is at that same elevation. Now, at the public hearing, there was one, I do recall one particular property owner from Sterling Cove that lived in one of these houses. I believe it was right in back of lot number 6. They did have a concern about those lots being 1.5 feet taller. There was some discussion about raising the course of the wall. I don't know whether or not these pads, the proposed pad elevations in Sterling, or I'm sorry, in the Verlaine project, I don't know if they can be lowered or not, but certainly we could even consider adding a condition to lower them if at all possible in the final development plan, and alternatively we can add courses to the walls, and certainly encourage the Verlaine applicant to work with the adjacent property owners and come up with a mutually acceptable solution to privacy issues and any sort of potential landscape issues in the backyards.
But what's the elevation of the houses along there? Is that-
In Sterling Cove?
No, not in Sterling Cove, in the Verlaine project.
In Verlaine, if you look at lot number 6, which is the triangle lot up adjacent to the mobile home park, the colony, that pad elevation is 270.8. And in Sterling Cove, just on the other side of the wall, the homes are at 270 and 269.
I wasn't referring to the pad elevations. I was referring to what is the proposed height of the house on the Verlaine property, number 6.
As a part of
20 feet, 18 feet?
We don't have that information right now because the applicant did not submit a preliminary development plan as a part of this project. It would be required to be no taller than 20 feet, 1 story in height by city code. And we can certainly require, when the council ultimately approves the preliminary development plan for the home designs, we can certainly require that they be lower than 20 feet due to the concern about the pad elevations. And if that's the direction that the council would like to give us, that would be timely at this point, because we are in the early stages of working with the applicant on the development plans. And then, of course, the homeowners will also have a chance to participate in the public hearings at the Planning Commission and the council on those.
As of this point in time, have the homeowners of the Sterling Estates indicated any concern with loss of view or other loss of privacy?
I think it probably is more dealing with privacy than view. The views tend to be towards the west and the south. From Sterling Cove, these views are more towards the east and towards the north, which the north is the existing Colony Mobile Home Park, and then just across the wall right now is just a dirt lot. I haven't been in the backyards of the homeowners in Sterling Cove, so I can't speak for them as far as what kind of view they have right now, but I would anticipate the most significant views would be towards the west and the south.
I would as well, but I'm just curious if there's if there's been any issue raised by anybody.
It's my understanding the concern is that when the original tract was proposed by Rick Johnson, it was conveyed to the property owners nearby that the lots would be relatively flat in relation to both to Sterling Cove and this proposed site, so that there wouldn't be this abrupt 1.5 foot difference. So I think that's what the surrounding property owners have been told over the years. And I know that there have been some issues in relation to the grade as far as trying to get the sewer to work in relation to the storm drain facilities, since it is so flat. And I'd have to defer to the Public Works Division as far as whether or not you could actually drop the pads another 6 inches or 8 inches.
Have they expressed it? Has anybody from the Public Works side expressed any opinion as to whether those pad elevations could be lowered?
That's certainly something. If we have talked with them about, they ended up wanting to raise it 6 inches over what was approved on Tangerine Lane initially, because otherwise the sanitary sewer wouldn't work. Okay, because they needed to flow out to Palmview in that direction. But certainly if the council would like to add a condition to lower these particular pad elevations a certain distance in the final development plan, we can certainly work with Public Works and the applicant to see how much we can lower it and still make the drainage systems work.
Well, at this stage, I'd be reluctant to make a condition along those lines, because I don't know, A, that it bothers anybody, B, I don't know whether it affects the drainage issues at all that you've talked about, and that drainage pathway that is in this project.
And it may be sufficient for the adjacent property owners to raise the wall by a couple of courses instead of pad elevation issue.
Let me just say, although it's not necessarily in tune with what I've been saying, but it seems to me that it would not be a bad approach for this council to refer the matter back to the Planning Commission, since they recommended denial across the board except for the environmental impact.
Correct.
And give them a chance to see that the issues that they were concerned with are satisfied, and if there are any issues coming from Sterling Estates, notifying those people that that's the time to raise it. So down the road, that would be a thought that I've got about an appropriate motion on this matter.
Certainly, we can certainly do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Bud.
Can I just ask Bud a question? In relation to the privacy issue, do we happen to know the wall height between this project and the Colony Mobile Homes?
And the Colony Mobile Home Park?
Yes. Is that going to be a privacy issue?
No, it's not.
We can go look at the pictures, but it's an existing 6-foot-high wall, and actually the pads are 2 and 3 feet lower.
Right, but, okay.
So it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem because the Colony Mobile Home Park lots higher.
Right, in relation to those pads, but in relation to the homes that are going to be built adjacent to that wall that would separate the Colony and the homes that are going to be built.
Greg, do you know the height of the wall?
There's a photo of it. It's 6 feet high.
I know it's 6 feet on the west side. I don't have that information on the grading plan.
Okay.
Grandfather did.
That's the next one. There it is. That's the existing photo that I took.
If that does become an issue for privacy for the Colony homeowners, is there any chance that that wall could be heightened about one course?
We would probably have to work with the building division, pothole it to make sure that the foundation would be able to support more courses. I'm sure there are things that can be done. You may have to add to the foundation or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, on the question of the overall height of the houses, the preliminary designs that I believe are going to be shown today, because I have a copy of the prelim package, the houses are basically 17.6. So they're under 20 feet.
Okay.
All three of them.
17.6.
All one story. And actually, the design that you're looking at, because they did probably 3 to 6 different designs, they met with the Water District on a couple of occasions to talk about the correlation between the storm drain and the sewer and the water improvements that are going to occur in the street. And the pad height that Bud references was lowered 6 inches, which I believe Phil from Ford Motor indicates is probably about as low as they can go to make the system work. But he can address that as part of his presentation, but it was lowered 6 inches.
Thank you.
Councilwoman, it looks like the wall is easily 6 feet above the proposed pad heights of the tenanted track, but the heights of the pad of the homes in Colony is higher.
Yes.
So from the Colony side, the wall might only be about a 4 or 5 foot wall.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ted, did you have a question?
I did. My concern is a little different than, not that it eliminates my concern regarding the height, but mine has to do with track map 36623, and it's more of a density issue. In walking the property, I find that the 18-lot subdivision is very tight. And I believe we're really trying to get, in this case, almost 10 pounds in a 5-pound sack. And I think it's an awfully tight subdivision. And if indeed we're going to refer it back to the Planning Commission, if that be the case, I would want them to take a look at the density factor of the track map.
Did you have a question of staff on that?
Well, if somebody wants to address that, I think I did express that at one point. Somebody wants to amplify that.
We can try and get that addressed by the applicant.
Good.
Okay. All right. Also, can I ask what the distance is between the existing homes and the distance between the proposed homes, between the houses, what the distance would be?
Greg, did you get the question?
Well, they haven't been plotted yet, so we don't know. That's going to be part of the plan development application. So the minimum backyards, setbacks, like considering Sterling Cove, their backyard should be 25. Minimum for the developer is 25. Realistically, if he's doing recreation improvements, so it could be that his houses are 40 feet back of the walls, but we won't see the plotting. I mean, I have the preliminary plotting, but I haven't looked at it. I just got it today.
Okay. But I'm talking about the distances between the existing homes from one another and the distances between the homes that are proposed, the side separations.
The minimum code requirement between homes is 10 feet, so there'll be 20 feet between each home on each individual lot at a minimum.
Okay, thank you.
Side yard setback you're talking about.
The side yard setback.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions of staff before we open the public hearing? Scott, did you have any questions? Okay. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing and ask the applicant if he would like to come forward.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, City Council members, staff, and residents of Rancho Mirage. My name is Mario Gonzalez, applicant with GHA Companies, Verlaine Ventures LLC, 34 Clancy Lane Estates, Rancho Mirage, California. First, I'd like to thank Greg and Bud Kopp Planning Department. There's a lot of moving parts on this development. This is truly an infill property, and I don't have to tell you folks, you're professionals, but in an infill property, you have set boundaries, and it is what it is, that your boundaries are set, and you have to work and do your best job you can to make that all work out. So that's what I think we've achieved. I'd also like to thank the Attorney's Office, Robert Lee, for helping us prepare the development agreement, which holds our feet to the fire in respect to timelines and home square footages and design and so forth. Also, Leland was very instrumental in going out there on his time to go ahead and work with one of the existing homeowners and physically take his laser out there to make sure that all of the elevations and everything else were really what we thought they were. So kudos to your staff. They really have done a great job, and I really appreciate that. And also like to thank Lisa Waldvogel for her support and confidence. She's been a great advocate. She's a resident of Los Conejos, residents across the street from Sunny Lane. And we actually had a little town meeting there in February. We are the real owners of the property, and we're committed to complete this project, so we be granted your approval. Since the Planning Commission meeting of February 13, 2014, we are hopeful that we have made great strides with the tone and concerns of our neighbors. We're hopeful that we have earned their support, and in spite of the planning staff's recommendation to support our project, Planning Commission, obviously we all know, denied it. They did approve the EA, and the other 4 items were denied. We have personally met with Kathleen McClaskey. She is the homeowner on lot number 4 that was shown earlier. Bernard Ryder, which is lot number 4. He is directly adjacent to our property to the east. And also with Joseph Dow. We got support from lot number 1, which is lot number 1 and 2, subdivide that little strip of 120 feet of street. So Ms. McClaskey opened her doors to us. She took a step back. She afforded us the opportunity to come and speak with her and address her concerns and show her our elevations, show her our pad height, show us the setbacks. And we really appreciate her time and her efforts. Also had the opportunity to meet with John Berkey. He's the president of Los Conejos Tamariz Los Ranchos community. We had the small town hall meeting over there on February 24th. He rounded up a couple of folks across the street from the project. We were able to demonstrate and address some of their concerns. In addition to one of his concerns, he lives directly across the street at the retention basin, so we were able to shoot his slab, shoot everything there, make sure that what we planned was in line and adequate. I also met with Susie Harvey. Susie Harvey is a resident of Sterling Cove and also spoke with Mr. Ernie Roop of Sterling Cove. I have built several projects here in the Valley, and Amy Gunderson is the Sterling Cove Community Association manager. And we tried to formulate a meeting several times. It just hasn't worked out. I was hoping to meet with Mr. Ernie Roop, who lives at the corner right there where our lot number 6 is, right adjacent to the corner of the Colony development. And he decided to go the other way with his motorhome, so we canceled that meeting. And lastly, I did meet with the folks, with Kathy Buckmaster. She's community manager of the Colony development. And I see we have a pretty large crowd here from that development, and met with her and a director. And the big concern I think they have is with the storm water channel and a secondary access. And as Greg mentioned out, we did some extra work on this to make sure that nothing was ever in the conditions from their inception of their development, as well as when Rick Johnson did track number 31800. It was never a condition there, although we are accepting full responsibility financially and physically to go ahead and catch that stormwater, pass it through our property, and go ahead and cover all the costs. So we in addition to the Sterling Cove and the Buckmaster, and the Colony community, as discussion was earlier on about the wall heights and everything else, it has always been our full intention to work with our neighbors. Privacy is a big concern of ours. We do have active backyards. These homes will have complete hardscape and softscape in the backyard. So a discussion with Ms. Buckmaster, we would like to meet with them folks. We'd like to go out there and physically stand on each side of the wall and say, hey, can you see me? If we have to add a brick or if we have to do something with respect to vegetation, we would love to do that, as well as the Sterling Cove. Some of the heights, you guys mentioned some stuff about heights and so forth. I do have my engineering in the audience. He does have some exhibits that will clearly demonstrate what our pad heights are, what the neighbors are. This track map 31800 is an approved track map. The grades are set there. Our grades are better. They're lower than what is already approved. And we do have some constraints with respect to sewer, to storm drain and so forth. So we are kind of limited what we can do as far as pad elevations and so forth. With that said, we're hopeful that this afternoon we can demonstrate to City Council that our proposed plan is truly the best use of this true infill property. It meets, I think, our ultimate goals with the city. It includes a development agreement that has some strong language in there and conditions that if we don't comply, if we don't do what we say we're going to do, it cancels it out. And we are accepting that, and we're prepared to move forward with that. So it's a challenge, and we accept that. Some of the conditions are the guidelines for setbacks and pad heights. We've increased the setbacks on our 4 neighbors, the 4 lots there. We increased it from 25 feet. Councilwoman, you asked some questions about separation and stuff. We increased our pad heights on our lot number 18 and lot number 17. If we would have stuck with the existing plan that is approved now, they would have a 10-foot setback. We increased it to 25-foot setback. And this was discussed with staff. We went back and forth, and we felt that would be appropriate to go ahead and work with our neighbors and give them a little more space. We have specific timelines, as I mentioned, to perform. We have specific conditions to complete existing storm drains and so forth that have been rolling around here for the last 24 years. That included a storm drain on the Sheldon property where you would have a 15-foot no man's land, coyotes, safety factor, so and access to that storm drain. So I think what we did, we did meet with Bill Enos early on and came up with a solution to pick up the storm drain from the Colony Cove and to bring it through our properties with some conditions on those properties, so it'd be accessible, it'd be easy to maintain. We are paying for it, and we will tie it into the existing storm drain. And then the home styles and the sizes. Our development agreement has specific conditions for home styles, home sizes, and we agree with that. There was a lot of specific concerns in the Planning Commission meeting, and I've been a resident here of Rancho Mirage for a very long time, and it was an interesting meeting to say the least. But anyway, there were some concerns with respect to our proposed tentative track map. There was some discussion earlier about the density. So you look at the existing maps and so forth that you had, and you put all that together with the existing zoning that the Shelburne property has. And if we were to maintain those zoning rights that we have right now, we could probably put 22 units. You have 3 cul-de-sacs. Those cul-de-sacs create a very, very challenging footprint for a home with the setbacks. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the map, or Greg, you may want to put that up there. It just made no sense. And I mean, you're having to build 5 different type of plans. The plans that are built right now on those 4 homes, you might be able to get on those other lots in 31800, track 31800, you might be able to get on 3 or 4 lots out of the 9. You're going to have to develop at least 5 lots. My architects in the audience, we have worked with city before on a prior development plan for track 31800. So we had the opportunity to lay things out, design things, and you can see the challenge with down at the corner, on where it says Rick Johnson, track 3100, right next to the Ryder. That's some of the setbacks I'm saying right there next to the Ryder family and the Dow family. They would have a 10-foot setback. We've increased that to 25 feet. Ms. McClaskey, she had 25 feet, so that would remain at her property at 25 feet. Again, our lot number 17, our lot number 18, we got 22,000 square feet. We got 25,000 square feet. Our lots are larger than the surrounding lots at that location. There was some concern about the existing retention basin, as I mentioned. We physically went out there, we shot it. I think we came up with a pretty good solution, and that solution would add some insurance to the neighbor and ensure that it would provide additional access for water if we get one of those big rains. The emergency access with the colony development, there's, as you saw in the pictures, there's a wall. There's a kind of little wrought iron little fence there. And as I mentioned, and as supported by staff's report, there never was a secondary access. And even if we could, the fire marshal would not allow it. But we are certainly don't agree to go ahead and put an access across there. We certainly will accept full responsibility to install a new storm drain system and to pass it on, and it's part of our plan here. One of the concerns was the street name change. The street name change, there's not one address that exists right now that has a Tangerine address. You have Palmview and you have Sunny Lane. We're accepting responsibility of the 120-foot street a section. We're going to go ahead and accept responsibility, repave it. We're going to pay for the maintenance of it, and we're going to pay for the maintenance of the entire street. We ask if you would kindly support the street name change. The name of the project we're proposing, Verlaine Estates, and we felt that Verlaine Drive would be an appropriate name. It's easy to identify. We did check the records with if there's any additional street names for safety or for fire, and there's none. So we ask that you kindly support that. Also, there was some discussion about the homeowners having, the 4 existing homeowners having a homeowners association. We look back in the records, we had some discussion as when we met with some of the homeowners, and I don't think there was ever a condition for them to go ahead and be in a homeowners. They front on a public street. The only common area that we have is the park at the corner of Palmview and Sunny Lane, which we are maintaining right now. We'll go ahead and add the extra pipe as mentioned. And then there's a timeline in the development agreement that makes everyone responsible to start paying their fair share. The original cost was about $2,200. I think I met with Bruce on this, and we got that down to about $800. And so I think that's a plus for everybody. Everyone gets to enjoy the park. It's a public space. It's a great park, by the way. And that park will be put into a landscape lighting maintenance district. So it'll all come full circle from, I guess, what was proposed when the other track was supposed to be done. And then pad heights, I'd like to defer that back to my engineer. He does have some exhibits. As Greg mentioned, we didn't have the architectural plans in the beginning because we were going back and forth since July of 2013 with respect to the street, with respect to the development agreement. There was a lot of issues that existed on this property, and we came up with several different plans. This plan has a really nice flow from Sunny Lane back to Palmview. It opens up the community for people to walk. We're proposing to put some wedge curb. It makes it nice and soft. With the wedge curb, it allows you to move things around, and we think that it'll create a great harmonious addition to the already existing community. I do have Mark Shire Architects, who's in the audience. I have Chuck Shepherdson, who is our landscape architect. He's both done numerous projects here in Rancho Mirage and across the valley. And Philip Fullmotor, who is our engineer. Philip was also the engineer of the existing track number 31800. So we had actual physical data of what the existing pad heights were, what the existing elevations were, and I think we've lowered everything than what is already approved as far as heights, as far as setbacks. So I think we put our best foot forward with that, with those issues, and we hope you agree. With that said, I humbly ask for your support. It's been a long 8 months. This is a great piece of property, and we're committed financially. I know we'll do a great job, and we're ready to go. So I would ask for your full support. Before I introduce my engineer up here, I'd like to know if I could kindly ask any questions, answer any questions. Excuse me.
Questions of Mario? Yeah,
somebody mentioned earlier that the houses along the east-west border were going to be 17.6 feet high to the top of the roofs. Is that something that's firm?
Yes, and Mark Shire would like to spend a few minutes and demonstrate that to you, but that is correct. We have a height limit in the city of 20 feet. And we have at our highest point 17.6, and that would be to a parapet. But we also have, we drop down from there. So that's our highest point. Our highest point is going to be put in probably about 30% of the entire roof, and it's to create a volume in the great room, in the kitchen, in your most common area of the room. But yes, sir, that is correct.
And with respect to lot number 11, where there's a 3.5 foot pad elevation difference, what gives rise to that elevation to begin with, and how, if any way, will it affect any house on Lot D in the Sterling Cove properties?
I think the elevation...
Well, if I could help you out with that, Mario.
Thank you,
Lot D is the retention basin for Sterling Estates. That's why it's 3.5 feet higher.
It's the bottom.
Yeah, the bottom of the retention basin. Yeah.
So they're measuring from
the bottom.
It's
not a developable lot.
Okay.
Okay.
That's correct. Thank you.
Dana, do you have any other questions?
No, that was it.
Questions down here? Mario, simple question regarding the name change. Why change the name?
Well, I guess if we're all going to be honest with each other here, and the Tangerine Lane project was on the street as a broken project. I've had black eyes from some projects myself, and we thought that if we changed the name, it would give it a new feel, a new start, and it's not a deal breaker for us. We did a lot of study on this. The name Verlaine, it also has a little bit of some personal. Some personal value. One of our partners, his father just died, and it was Ernie and Verlaine, so we thought about the Verlaine project. But quite frankly, Mr. Mayor, that's the reason.
Okay. Question related to a question that Councilman Weil had regarding density.
Yes, sir.
We talked a long time ago about the density of the project, and do you still feel strongly that would be uneconomical to reduce the number of pads in there, lots in there by one?
Well, yes, we do. You know, we performed this thing. We're trying to build a really nice product. You know, the other development has 27. They could have built 2,700 square feet. We're coming in at 3,200 square feet up to 4,000 square feet, and I think if you see some of the perspectives of some of the architecture we have, it would impact the economics of this project for us. Could we do it? Yeah, we could do it. You know, the property's been sitting for a very long time. It was in escrow. It was out of escrow. The bank took it over, and you know, early on, you know, Bud did a great job with me. We looked at this. We went through 30,000 square feet in there and looked down. Across the street, you got, you know, 26 lots on whatever acreage you got. Behind us, we got 9 units to the acre. I mean, you're going to ask someone to come over here and pay $1 million and have, you know, the community behind you. You know, it's got 9 acres. You know, the colony community. You've got on our west wall and the Sterling Cove east wall. They have 5 houses on the property line. We have 5 houses on the property line, back to back. We're consistent with them. Next to the existing 4 homeowners, we have lots that are bigger than them. So we really, really looked at this and you know, and tried to put our best foot forward and make the economics work. We're absorbing the cost of the storm drain, and yes, of course, city worked with us on some of the existing conditions of the development agreement. So it's a little, you know, we're working together to clean that up and say, okay, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. So we would really, really appreciate, sir, if you would support the 18 lots.
Okay. You could go to 17, though.
Pardon me?
You could, if needed to negotiate this deal, you could go one less.
We would definitely consider. I think you guys know me. I've been here for a very long time, and you know, I'm always open to discuss things and work out what's best for all of us. And you know, right now, when we do these projects and we pencil these projects, we look at what makes sense, and in our opinion, and getting, you know, feedback from staff and so forth. So right now, we would like to keep the 18, but that's something we could consider. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Appreciate that. Any questions down here? Okay.
With that said, I'd like to please introduce Phil Fomoter. He is our engineer, and I think he has a couple of slides to put up here.
Good afternoon. As Mario mentioned, I'm a civil engineer. I've worked in the Valley since 1980s. Sure. And I've been involved in this particular piece of property with Rick Johnson since around 2004 through 2007 until through to the housing crash occurred. I just wanted to, if we could, I've got a slide there and I've got a handout, some handouts, and I wanted to talk about the approved track. This exhibit here shows the original track, the Rick Johnson Tangerine Lane Estates track, the phase 2, which is about 4.4 acres, and in the southwest corner there, the old Chevlin lot, it's about 2.3 acres. And as you know, as Mario had mentioned, you've got a lot of dead-end streets and just irregular lot sizes. The Chevlin lot zoned RM, higher density. You know, we figured a yield of up to 9 lots, and then the 9 lots in the Rick Johnson, 18 lots total. And we just sat down and figured out how could we improve this plan? How could we make it a better plan and spread the density and spread out the lot sizes and make them more uniform throughout the neighborhood, rather than have lots crammed in one corner and then larger lots elsewhere. And it's 18, and the idea was not to increase the number of the total lot count. you had the concern about the, I just want to discuss the pad elevations for the Sterling Cove.
What's the attitude heading from Sterling Cove? Is there an issue there, or is there not an issue?
Well, the original plans with Rick Johnson, even though our lots are higher, we've actually managed to lower the lot elevations from the original approvals. We know this is a concern. Neighbors, staff has encouraged us to do everything you can to lower those pad elevations next to Sterling Cove. And actually, we've managed to, originally, the lot elevations were 71.8 and 71.5, and we've lowered the pad elevations from the original approvals by between a foot to 1.7 feet. So we've made substantial headway in lowering the pad elevations and addressing their concerns. And we're constrained by the storm drain, by sewer constraints.
When you say
and drain.
constraining, do you mean literally there's no further reduction that can be made because of adjacent factors?
Because of we're proposing a storm drain to drain the Colony Mobile Home Park storm channel. And we need a certain slope, certain grade, and the street needs a certain cover above that storm drain, and that's really just driving the elevations there. And our final precise design will do everything we can to lower it further if we can, the grades. I believe the lot sizes are comparable with what's allowed under the zoning RL3 for the Sterling Cove project.
What's the current smallest lot size under your plan?
So 10,819, and that's next to the Colony Mobile Home Park. No, lot number 4.
How does that compare to the approved track map? Whatever was approved by Mr. Johnson.
Let's see. His smallest lot was 15,819 square feet.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
15,819 square feet. Although the Chevron lot to the south, could have much smaller lots than that.
Yeah, that was on the Chevron.
The Chevron, the 2.3 acres has a much higher allowable density. No, this is it's the zoning's approved the higher density, but we're just showing a concept plan on that exhibit, a concept site plan.
Do you have anything further you want to bring up?
Sorry?
Anything further?
Just wanted to reiterate what Mario was saying for the lots on the east side, next to the Palm View Road, that we enlarged the 2 of the lot sizes there to make them more comparable with the existing homes on Palm View Drive. We've increased the setbacks, the building setbacks, to 25 feet from 10 feet. And I just wanted I have 2 other slides, and I just wanted, there had been neighborhood concerns that we were increasing the amount of, this development would increase the amount of runoff and drainage to the existing basin at the corner of Palm View and Sunny Lane. And under the current current approval, the blue area is the area that drains to that basin, and it's almost 7 acres. And then on the next slide, what we're proposing, comparable drainage area. So there's really no change. And then we...
So what are you illustrating by those two? Just
that we're not overwhelming that basin, or we're not adding additional water to it than for what it was originally designed.
Just a different way of drainage.
Both the current development and the proposed developments both drain the same amount of water to that basin. We're not increasing the runoff.
Just by different means, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
If we could just go back, because I see a difference between the one we just got here and the one that's in the book here, and as far as the lot sizes, where you've got lot number 7, and on this sheet, it says, I believe, 11,499, and then in the book, it seems to say 10,932.
I'm not sure. I didn't produce the book, so we.
Okay. Well, this is the book that we got when we sat down here.
I'm fairly certain about our lots, the lot size shown on our exhibit. I can check the tentative map and see if it matches that, the tentative track map.
Okay, so this is the most recent, correct map?
That's lot 7.
Yeah, lot 7.
Mario, you've got it.
Yeah, 11,499 on the tentative track map.
Okay. Yeah, those are all, it looks like that's increased. Okay. So this is the final.
Yes. Yes, Councilwoman, that lot number 7 is 11,469 square feet. And the tentative track map that we were referring to earlier with respect to your elevations, and Councilman Hobart was asking about heights and so forth, that was opened up here, what you guys were looking at, that is the correct site plan. And there was some discussion earlier that, we haven't plotted these houses or anything else, but, when you do these type of things, you have to figure out from now to the end and what's going to work. So we certainly, know how to do this. Right. But, yes. Is there any other questions on the square footages? I have the current tentative track map in front of me.
Okay. Are you guys okay down there?
Yeah. This is the most, apparently, the corrected version.
Okay.
What were the, may I?
Sure, go ahead.
What were the data which were not presented to the Planning Commission that you have now new and available for us to consider? Give me an outline of what they didn't see.
Sure. What they did have was a tentative track map.
Tell us what they didn't have.
What they didn't have was copies of the elevations or the renderings of the home. There was great concern with keeping within the character of the neighborhood, so they did not have architectural. And they did not have some landscape exhibits that we have our landscaper here that would show you some landscaping of the homes and the landscaping of the 2 small retention basins to the east and the west of the new street that we'd put in off Sunny Lane. But with respect to drainage, with respect to pad heights, elevations, with square footages of the lots, with setbacks of the lots, they had all that.
But not
Not these 4 exhibits. It wasn't articulated in these 4 exhibits that you did. We went ahead and created these exhibits so that when we met with folks personally, it was a very easy illustration with arrows and so forth to show what the existing condition was going to do with the arrows versus what we're going to do. And basically, it is the same amount of water. And yes, Mayor, you are correct. It's just taking a pipe a little different way. But basically, there's no further impact. And furthermore, we did go ahead and provide the city with percolation tests. We had the retention basin tested. We had it tested in several places, and we did provide that, and that was a recommendation by Mr. Leland Cole for the city.
Okay, thank you very much. We've got a number of people here who would like to speak.
Would it be okay if I just brought my architect up really quick to show you guys what we were thinking? Because There was a big concern at the Planning Commission of what these homes were going to look like and so forth.
Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
Okay, bring him.
Okay.
Bring him up, please.
Mark?
I've got some images that match the book you have. Mark Shire, I'm the architect for the project.
Okay, Mark, the mic on the left of you is the one.
This is the one you want? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi. I apologize for the planning commission hearing. We didn't know it was an architectural hearing. We thought it was a tract map hearing. So we've come today providing all this additional information on architecture that we're proposing. This is the type of architecture that we've shown all the neighbors to make them understand what was going to happen. Very quickly, because we've already done this a long time already and beat it up. I just wanted to explain the process real quickly on how we work as architects. We've done 4 or 5 projects in Rancho Mirage. We're the architect for Villas and Murata. We've done some houses up at Murata Estates and some houses on Clancy Lane. So we think we understand the city, but first and foremost, when we do the architecture, it's a balance. We need to, number one, provide architecture that's compatible with the neighbors and the adjacent situations that are there. There's a variety of different kinds. And number two, we want to create architecture that's compatible with the city. And number three, the all-reality version is we have to create something that somebody will buy, quite frankly, or we're going to have a dirt lot there for a long time, or vacant houses. So how we work is we looked at the site very quickly, and what we saw were houses to the left, houses to the right that were of the desert modern character, the same kind of character that the city hall is, same kind of character that the library is. That character also was the #1 requested character on a market study from buyers today. That's what they wanted the most. So to dispel the myth that we were going to build the Tuscan village there, not going to happen. Never going to happen. Going forward, you've seen pictures of the houses around it. They are of that desert modern character. That's Sterling. That's adjacent to the right. We see this. We're going to be an updated, more sustainable version of that kind of architecture.
Okay, these 4 pictures are representative of
Neighborhood.
homes out there already.
Yeah, you saw some of the other pictures of the homes, but this is just to reiterate why we chose that style.
This is not what you're building.
No, these are built.
All right.
Just to go forward, you beat up the site plan. My only comment as a design professional is you have a great ability today to get rid of 3 dead-end cul-de-sacs and create a straight street that's through, that police can determine, security can determine, survey, and get rid of those 3 cul-de-sacs and vast variable lot sizes. That's my only comment on the site plan. There's a lot of comments already. The houses, we're going to do 3 floor plans. They're going to be open. They're going to be spacious. They're going to be of the desert contemporary character. These will all be seen because there's architectural approvals coming. But they range from a small plan. They're all 3, 4-bedroom plans. The plans on the smallest floor plans are in the top corner. So the smallest house is the furthest away from the Sterling house in question. So we have the greatest setback possible. Just to go through the next plan.
The smallest plan is how big?
3,200 square feet right now.
And the largest?
Around 4. What happens in houses, as you're well aware today, there's always design options. So somebody takes a den and a bedroom and a retreat and all that stuff, but they're around that size. That leaves us real good size for backyards. And let me make another statement. Everything we're going to propose architecturally wise meets all the setbacks and all your planning requirements. We're not going to reduce front yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks, side yard setbacks, height setbacks. We're not going to do any of that. The goal is to be compatible. On our next image is just the plan 3. This is to show you that we have an L-shaped plan, we have an 8-shaped plan, we have a square-shaped plan. It's always been our goal that when a neighborhood is built, if you can change the massing around a little bit, then you don't have the wall. More the concern of privacy to a rear yard is how close the house is. The other concern typically is the back of the house is just a big blank wall. We're articulating these houses, we're offsetting these houses. So if the code says 25 foot to the rear of the house, that's to the fence, not including the other guy's yard. We're offsetting the houses and angling the houses so that's even more than that, but it's going to create a better neighborhood. The goal is just to not do a big box. Next. We did some computer massing studies just to show you have them in your books, just to show how this is not going to be a street of flat houses, one after another, the same as all the rest. We're going to get some articulation. We're going to get some massing. We're going to use color. We're going to use some masonry. We're going to be something that there's no doubt in my mind will increase the value of the homes all around the neighborhood. There's no doubt about that, based on a dirt lot. Some aerial studies. This goes to Mario's point. You can see on the top perspective, just the portions of the house that do get to the 17 feet, it's a portion of the house. The rest of the house is 12, and some of it's even 10. So it's a portion of that house. So the generality of we're going to have a 20-foot tall house, 25 foot from the rear yard, is not even close to true. It's just not going to happen. And then finally, just because we've been working, I apologize again, the streets, the grades, everything has been constantly being made better and better and better. So I'm here today for the first time on architecture for you and the audience. But this is a rendering that we've completed of our street. This would be the model complex, and you can see there the varied roof lines, the variation of color, the addition of the stone, the desert landscaping on the front of the thing. This is going to be a very, very good asset to this community. That's for me real quick.
Thank you. Any questions? Great, thank you.
I think that concludes, Mr. Mayor. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. We'll take some public testimony. If we have any questions, we'll get back to you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, for those of you who have sat through a long council meeting so far, we'll try and move this along now, and we'll start with Kathy Buckmaster.
Thank you. I'm Kathy Buckmaster. I'm the community manager at the Colony. I represent 220 homes, approximately 550 to 600 residents of all ages at my community. We've been there since 1974, before the city was even incorporated. So I appreciate the respect that this council gives our community, because that is exactly what we feel our homes are, is a community. I believe at least most of my concerns have been addressed today. Maybe not the way I wanted them to be, but I understand that in 2003, possibly the owners addressed the issue of the fire exit. I would like to request that I might be able to get copies of that correspondence, and I will contact the city individually for that. My concerns were the elevations, whether the homes would sit higher in Verlaine than the Colony, and I understand they'll sit approximately 2 to 3 feet lower, so that may be covered. The drainage, Mr. Gonzalez keeps speaking that that was our concern. We didn't even know they were going to do anything with our drainage until the last meeting, so I'm glad we attended. And by the way, I have approximately 13 residents here with me today. I don't know what Mr. Kerner was, because Mr. Kerner's no longer with us, I don't know what his thoughts were with our 20-foot gate that has been referred to as a small gate, because he also, it's my understanding that he also owned the land that we're now talking about. So what his use was for that land, I'm not sure. I think that's basically what my concerns were. I've got to trust the city, the engineers, the developer, that the drainage will be taken care of and that we won't have an issue. I know I've spoken with Mr. Gonzalez about the landscaping, that the new homeowners' landscaping will not be intrusive upon our wall that I'm responsible for maintaining, because I have issues with other communities around us right now where the overgrowth from those communities is coming, and I'm going to be working with the city on that. So I would appreciate that possibly you could table this again and have it reviewed, but it's entirely up to you guys. You know what you're doing. But we would like you to consider that we could have some type of access across this property. I'm not talking vehicular access, and it would be strictly pedestrian access for emergency purposes only through our gate. Thank you.
What type of access are you talking about?
Well, through our gate, we've always considered that gate. I don't know why it was never considered. We've always considered that as our emergency exit in case the front was blocked off. And like I said, we would only use that. It's a padlocked gate, only for emergency purposes only, and to have pedestrian walk through traffic if it was needed. Okay?
Doesn't that go out to Palm View?
Well,
that gate?
We've reviewed it, and probably the best thing that could happen is if we had access straight out the gate, down the wall to Sunny Lane, whatever that is. Yeah, that would be the quickest, because there's an existing home that goes the other way. We'd have to go down and around that wall and their home. So I don't think that would be viable.
In summary, you support the project as it's being presented.
Well, I actually put that I opposed it. I think it would be great to have homes back there. I mean, right now it's a sand lot, is basically what it is. But we also I have to look after my residents and what's best for them. So the access is my main concern, that and the landscaping.
Okay. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Susie Harvey, please.
Hi, Mayor, City Council people. I thought Palm Desert went a long time.
Susie, can we have your name and address?
Okay, I'm Susie Harvey. I live at 9 Silver Circle, which is in Sterling Cove, which is directly adjacent to the property on the west side. I met with Mr. Gonzalez yesterday. I am speaking for myself. I am, however, president of the Homeowners Associations, but I'm not speaking for the Homeowners Association. I just happen to know kind of what they would all like. I am very supportive of this project. If you look at the current lot, it is an empty lot. Nobody likes it as an empty lot. The wind blows, the coyotes stay there. It's just not a great place. I had 3 major concerns. They have to do with the lot size, is the development going to be compatible with the neighborhood, and is the privacy issue something we need to be concerned about. When you look at the existing approved lot plan of 18 homes and the proposed plot plan of 18 homes, this is by far superior. I totally support it. The homes in Sterling Cove are essentially 1/3 of an acre. These are approximately 1/3 of an acre. I think it's great. The larger lots are closer to the existing Tangerine estates, which are slightly larger, and I think that's appropriate as well. So I fully support the plot plan. As far as the fitting in with the neighborhood, you really won't know that until the specific plan is here for the actual development itself, what the elevations are going to look like. But what you could see, they looked great. I'm anxious to see what they actually are proposed when they come for that public hearing. The main concern has to do with the privacy issue along the existing wall. When I counted it, there were only 2 lots that were actually affected negatively by a foot or so difference in elevation, which didn't seem to be that much. I feel strongly that the developer can work with the existing homeowners in either raising the height of the wall or adding landscaping, as he already said he would do, and I would support him in that effort and support him in meeting with our homeowners to make those arrangements if whatever happens today. So in a short sentence, I support the project, and I hope you support it today and let it go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Lou Suter. Is that Sutter? Suter, okay.
Mr. Mayor, it's great to be here today. City Council members, staff, my friends and neighbors, and especially the row plus of folks from the colony. We're grateful to be here today and to have input into this important decision.
Could you give your address, please?
Yes, 26 International Boulevard. I live in the colony in Rancho Mirage.
Thank you.
The safety of the residents of the colony is my concern, as I expressed already once to the Planning Commission. I chair, along with our HOA president, the Emergency Preparedness Committee at the colony. Our plan is to use the rear gate of the colony that we've already discussed somewhat as our emergency exit from the colony. It's my belief, and while I have no proof for it, that 30 years ago when the colony was constructed, that same owner owned the lot behind the colony. At that point, he installed the gate as well as the storm drainage. Now, there's no need for a gate if the purpose was simply for storm drainage, is there? So that gate was for a purpose. Many of the people of the colony then, and still, have golf carts. It's the perfect size for a golf cart. The intention was, I believe, to have a pathway and to use that as an emergency exit. That never came to pass, and of course, ownership has changed over the years. But still, we need that as an exit, as an emergency exit from the colony. Let's see. I don't know if there's an easement that is sufficient for a pathway or not, honestly, but I do know that time sometimes provides for things like that. That gate has been there, it's been visible for 30 years. Any owner of that property would see that gate. It's a visible entity. I don't know what a prescriptive easement is. I don't really know what adverse possession means. However, I do know that the safety of the residents of the colony is at risk. And I would suggest that the developer consider that. To us, the people at the colony, as we looked at the maps, to us the simplest solution would be, and it would help the Sterling folks as well, would be to construct a pathway along the western border of the new development. There would be, therefore, a berm of some sort where it could be graded a little differently. The Sterling folks would benefit because there would be a berm, there would be a pathway between the new properties being built and the Sterling folks. And of course, the colony residents would benefit as well. That's just one solution, but that's one that we noted and wanted to share with you. Okay. I'm grateful for the opportunity to present to you.
Do you support this project?
You know, I do in a way, but not without something being done to help provide for the safety of the residents of the colony.
Thank you for being here.
Pleasure. Thank you again.
I'm going to ask Randy a question. Randy, when the city zoned that property for a park, I have a vague recollection that they took the property by eminent domain against the prior owner. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And who was the prior owner?
Lou Kerner, who also built the Colony Mobile Home Park.
So what Mary Lou says about there may have been an intention to make that exit something more than it currently is, it makes some sense that that was the original, that he may have had that in his original thinking.
Yeah, it's possible.
Mm-hmm. I only remember Mr. City Attorney from law school and prescriptive easement or an easement of necessity. What kind of necessity would have to be shown here for there to be some potential for the colony people to convert a portion of that property into an exit in case of emergencies or just a routine exit?
First of all, an easement by prescription and adverse possession are the same. Adverse possession, you actually acquire title to the property. And with a
So they have
prescriptive
title to the
easement,
property
you acquire
already.
title to the easement. If you use it for 5 years, it's open and notorious, and there's like 5 elements that have to be fulfilled. What was the other question? Oh, easement by necessity comes up when you have a landlocked parcel. So if you create several parcels and one's going to be landlocked, then there's an easement by necessity created.
Implied.
But you can't, because you cannot lock landlocked
But is that
property.
the only example of where an implied easement by necessity would be when you have a landlocked parcel? I mean,
Yes.
how about safety? Any kind of safety issue give rise to such an easement? Potentially give rise to it?
If it were the city, we can condemn it for public safety purposes. I would think that what we may want to look at is look at the original title report for Colony Mobile Home Park to see if there is an easement in there. I don't believe there was one that was recorded, but that's something that we should look at. And I'm trying to get an idea where that gate is. Is it Lot 17?
But Steve, didn't you basically just say that there is a prescriptive right of some kind?
No, yeah, there's prescriptive rights, and that's something that they would have to argue.
Greg, the
But it wouldn't
location
look
of
like
that
they would
gate?
have that because it's on their property already. That drain, that there's a photograph that we've been looking at. Looks like looking toward the gate.
Okay,
Yeah,
there
this
it is.
this photograph.
Oh, that's the gate.
This property, all of this is on Colony property, is it?
Yes, that's right.
And how far back could somebody walk this way on what appears to be cement?
To the interior street, International Lane Drive.
30 to maybe 50 feet.
And then what happens?
Turns into a street.
Yeah, you would actually come from the street, and then you'd walk down this path and hit the gate, and you're between two mobile home units here, I believe. I've actually been in here numerous times with Mr. Kerner when I knew Lou, and this is really a drainage channel that went out to this property, and that's why we've expressed that the development below this has to handle this drainage. All the drainage collects in this area and goes out toward the property to the south.
Which are we looking east here?
We're looking south.
We're looking south. Oh. Are we looking south roughly in the middle of the property that we're talking about, or are we looking south more to the east or west end?
The gate is right there.
Oh, right there.
That's the gate. That's the drainage channel that goes out.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be at the north...
West corner.
Huh?
Northwest corner.
Northwest corner.
Steve, do you have something there you want
Check this out. I was just handed a quit claim deed from Hometown America, which I gather that was the original owners of Colony Mobile Home Park, or the previous owners? Current, okay. And so there's this quit claim deed here. I don't know if it's been recorded. It goes back to the early 1990s, and it indicates that there was a 12-foot wide ingress and egress easement that was quit-claimed to the city in connection with the condemnation of the property. I mean, it looks like, if this is that easement, the city may own it.
Well, what would be the
But I
effect?
have a letter here too from the Riverside County Fire Department, and the letter says that they don't need that for emergency access, but I think what the residents are saying is that they need it for an emergency exit.
What an interesting legal issue. The city comes along, it condemns the property. The owners of the colony then quit claim to the city this easement. The city ends up not using it for the public purpose that they intended to, and instead the city sells it to a developer, that quitclaim now is given, either should revert back to the colony people. Whether it does or not, as a point of law, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and generally, when the city acquires an easement, whether it's a road or a sidewalk, and we vacate that easement because there's no general public need for that easement, once we vacate it, it usually splits right in the middle between the two adjacent property owners, and it transfers over to both of them on either side. But if the city owns the entire easement, you can actually dedicate or just give this easement whoever you want, because you're a charter city.
Well, I don't know that easement plays an important role in this discussion or not.
And I don't know whether this easement is what we're talking about. I mean, I have the legal description here, but there's no map attached to it.
Okay, we have somebody approaching the...
Honorable Mayor and council members, if I may speak, my name is Stuart Shellen of Palm Desert, and I'm one of the managers of Verlaine Venture, and I also do some of the in-house legal work. There's no easement. The quitclaim, it's a...
Could you pull the mic up a little bit?
Am I not close enough?
The mic, yeah, that's good.
First of all, in terms of prescriptive rights, the fence that the colony has referred to, the gate, is on the colony property. If one could create a prescriptive easement by putting a fence on their own property...
We're not talking about a prescriptive easement. We're talking about they had an easement.
But they quitclaimed, remised, and released the easement.
They quitclaimed it to the city because the city said it's going to be a park. Now the city says it's not going to be a park and they're going to sell it. There's an issue of equity here as to where that goes. You're saying...
No, actually,
it's a clear point of law, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's not fair.
An easement, well, the unfairness, though, first of all, I understand that there are alternative secondary access or ingress routes that the colony can avail itself of, but I'm not familiar enough with their property to make an opinion about that. I have that from perhaps Ms. McClaskey can explain that.
You don't know where that is? You're making a statement there is secondary access?
That I've understood that they could get, but I'll leave that because I don't...
You would tell us to disregard that since you can't...
Since I can't back it up, and I'm saying that myself. I'm saying disregard I just did something that I understand. But when in easements, there's a dominant and a servient tenement. That means there's somebody that sort of has to give the right for somebody else to use. The easement was for, if there was one, would have been for the colony, with the city of Rancho Mirage giving the right to the colony people, if there was an easement.
No, it existed before the city. The city didn't own that
No,
originally.
but once you quitclaim an easement to the person that is the servient tenement, which was the city in this case, if the colony was a dominant, the easement expires. The same person can't hold both sides of the easement.
You should probably be taking legal advice from me.
Yeah, and I agree. You're making a statement that it may be correct, but there's an inequity involved. And sometimes when there's an inequity involved, the law has a recourse for that person. That
not in situations.
Like you said, though, you and I are the wrong people to be discussing it. He's the one we have to listen to.
I understand you have to discuss it with Mr. Quintanilla, but in terms of easements and access issues, it's a different situation than if the colony were standing and saying, I need this secondary access to a city street or to public area.
But it was all owned by the same person, same ownership at the time the easement was first created.
But it was
neither one was dominant nor servient, arguably, because they could both use it. Who knows?
We have a city engineer here waiting to give his opinion on this issue.
If he can.
Do you want to go first?
Perhaps I could shed some light on how that all occurred, and I'm sure I'll strike the memories of some folks who've been here a long time.
This is Bill Enos, city
engineer for the city of Rancho Mirage. What happened was the city did condemn the property from Mr. Kern. That was prior to my time starting here, but when I got involved, when the city was looking at, the city wanted to dispose of the property, decided it was not going to be used for a park. There was a design contest held where several proposed projects were there. Mr. Rick Johnson was successful in gaining the city's interest. And as part of that, the transaction of selling that property to him, there were title reports run and numerous conditions put on the sale of that property. And during that process of conditioning that in the sale, it was discovered that after the deal was made, a monetary amount was agreed upon. It was discovered that there was an unknown easement in place at the time. Apparently, when it was condemned against Mr. Kerner, he understood that he had a drainage. He drained to that back corner we're talking about with the iron gate, with the wrought iron gate, and he did at the time require what he called, I believe, is a secondary access, some kind of an access back there through what was intended to be a park. Well, that was undiscovered. That had a huge impact on what Mr. Johnson intended on using the property for. So suddenly it became a huge issue at that time. Wait a minute. We had a deal for a certain amount of money. Now I can't get so many lots. I have to deal with this drainage easement and access easement. And so trying to resolve that, the city met with the fire marshal and with other safety people. It was determined at that time that the access was too narrow for modern equipment to go down. It could not be used as a secondary access. It hadn't been available for some 30 years in the past to the Colony Mobile Home Park, has not been used ever as an access easement. The fire marshal at the time, and I believe there's a letter in the record, that the fire marshal, I believe it was Dave Avila, went and looked at it. He determined that the existing situation met the fire codes, that there is an entrance and an exit gate of sufficient width. One was the primary, one was the secondary. It could be used.
Are you talking about on Gerald Ford?
On Gerald Ford, that's correct.
Both of them on Gerald Ford. Well, that's kind of the problem, though, Bill. The problem is, if they did have an emergency at the colony, they don't really have a secondary access or exit. They have to get out on Gerald Ford. Right, the ingress is here and the egress is there, and those two that's the emergency exit.
At the time the fire marshal made the determination, again, the idea is that if one gets blocked, if there's a vehicle that blows up.
How do they get out at the other end of the park where half the people are closer to?
Again, that was the determination that was made at the time by the fire marshal. So based on that description, that resolved the problem with Mr. Johnson. We met, based on the recommendation from the fire marshal, we met with the ownership of the colony at the time, and they agreed to relinquish that secondary access down there at that corner. That's the history of what happened.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Yeah, that's, after reading all this, that makes sense. So there was an easement there at one time, and then when we sold the property to Johnson, we had a clear title. So they quit claim Colony Mobile Home Park, was it Hometown America, quit claim that easement. So that easement basically merged with our property and disappeared. I think the issue is that Hometown America never notified the residents that easement went away. And, that's something you guys may want to look at in your rules and regulations and your leases to determine whether or not there is a reference to this particular easement or this fire exit. Our fire department made a determination that we didn't need this for emergency access, but again, I think the residents are concerned about getting out versus us getting our fire equipment in. So I don't believe there is an easement right now recorded against that property, and that's an issue that needs to be addressed somehow for them and maybe Colony, the owners of the park. But I would encourage you to look at your leases and your rules and regulations.
Okay, can we go on with the testimony then, Steve?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Next person is Alan McMahon.
My name is Alan McMahon. I live at 148 Capri Street in the colony. And when I took my real estate tour...
Alan, could you move over more towards the mic? That's good.
When I took my real estate tour 10 years ago, the real estate person, as we breezed by, said that's the back entrance to the park, or the back gate. So he took it that at his word. I remember looking over the wall at that time, and there was nothing but an open field. And due to the fact that I'm a retired firefighter, and in my dealings in the city that I worked at, everything that we had always had two exit, an entrance and an exit. When I saw a few years back some homes being built on the other side, I wondered whether the city ever had any option when they granted the permits for these things to look at our exit, and I didn't think too much about it. But then what I see now, I don't want to disagree with the fire marshal, but what I think he was referring to was the fact that it would be difficult to get any modern fire apparatus up that drainage ditch into the back entrance to the park. But what I would hopefully consider, or hope that you folks consider, is that some sort of a pedestrian exit out of there, maybe in a direct line to that cul-de-sac on the new street that they're going to propose. I think you're talking about a lot of people, a lot of homes. I know that mobile homes have a propensity to burn very nicely, and you get a windy condition, you could have multiple homes burning, and that could block the main entrance to our park. And at least with a gate, you could at least walk out of our things in an emergency. So I'm hoping that you consider some sort of a pathway directly to the nearest street, so that at least that we would not be trampling over somebody's backyard or fences or something like that when all these homes are developed.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Alan, do you support this project?
Yes, I do, if there's some sort of an access out of the back of our place.
Okay, great. Thank you. Daryl Hill? Mulder Hill? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, my name is Daryl Mulvihill. My wife and I reside at 196 International in the Colony. We've only been here, you might consider new kids on the block. We bought the house 2 years ago when I retired 2 years ago. And I know an awful lot has been said, and most of it I won't repeat, but I truly am very concerned. You buy a house, you have 2 doors, if not more. You buy a condo, you have 2 doors or more. Well, if something did happen, a major fire or a large earthquake, and we talked about those front gates. In fact, when I went to an emergency meeting here a while back, sometimes electricity may be off, and sometimes those gates may not work. And what do? Or trees are fallen in front of the gates. And what do? It is a problem, and it is a deep concern. And I will repeat what our manager of the colony said earlier on. There are over 400 residents. And please consider the individuals that do have concern walking or can even get out of bed, and how to come and get them or how to help them get out. It is a concern. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Kathleen McCloskey.
My name is Kathleen McCloskey. I live at 70450 Sunny Lane. I'm one of the 4 houses. I have a few other comments, but I'd like to address the colony issue first. There is a fence back there, but there's also, I call it the coyote path, that goes from Gerald Ford right down to Palmview. If that gate were moved to the other corner, it would allow their emergency access. the property's empty. There's a thoroughfare. Thank you. Which I'm just showing to Mr. Gonzalez. I don't know if this helps or not. Right here is one of the existing homes.
We're going to pull up Google Earth so everyone can see what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Sarah's working on that.
I think there's an easy solution to the emergency exit. On the other points, I was very reluctant for this whole project. We bought a house on empty property. We knew that. We got the contract with the city to see what was scheduled to happen there. That all changed. We had to get over it. We bought an empty property. The market changed. The times changed. I look at that property now and what we were promised, it's very different than what we're getting. But I think what we're getting is the best thing we can get for this neighborhood. It's been sitting empty for a long time. We have a lot of coyotes that go through there. Our primary, and I came here with a lot of signatures against it. Our primary issue is architectural integrity. We have a lot of mid-century modern houses across the street, up the street, down the street. Our house is contemporary. Sterling Cove is contemporary. I've met with several people that live there. These houses fit the neighborhood, and that was our primary issue. Also making sure that they bring up the value of the neighborhood. I think they do this. I look at his plan. It pencils far better than the old plot map that I had. The old one didn't make sense. This makes sense. Okay, when we look here, if you look at the eastern corner of this empty property,
Can you blow it up a little
that's
bit?
where their gate is. So right here, you see the first house of
Let's see if
our...
we can get the marker over the gate.
Put that access in the middle and blow it
I
up.
think
would
what's
you?
important, though, is to note that in that eastern corner is where their gate is.
It's the western.
There's a couple gates, actually. But I think the one that we're looking at pictures of is in that upper right corner. I don't know my north, south, east, and west very well.
Left.
Oh, so there's
It's on the west side, not the east. If it was on the east side, it'd be easy to
I
solve.
look at one of them. The easement that I think is being addressed is in the upper right corner. That's what we're seeing pictures of. I look at it every day. Just to the right of that is empty property that goes all the way to Gerald Ford. If you pull back, who's got the...
Can
So
you go
if
a
you
little
pull
to
it-
the east? Yeah.
See where Palmview ends? Right after that is a dirt pathway to Gerald Ford. This would be a very easy exit plan. All we need is to move the gate to the other corner. And I think it solves the problem.
And it would have direct access to Palmview. The problem is that you'd have to take out one of the homes or take out someone's yard
No,
there.
Well, you'd
But you
have to
would have
take out
direct
part of the
access.
gate. Yeah, but it would be direct access. There's homes across the street. It's the back side of the colony. There's empty property that follows all the way to Gerald Ford.
Right, but the
And so
problem
we
is
pave
that
it.
there is no emergency access over there. If that little drainage area to the south was over on the east side, we could get out directly out to
Yeah,
the
it'd be
street. You're
perfect.
right.
The drains,
That'd be perfect,
the
yeah.
easement is for the drainage, and that's going to happen anyway. That's in Mario's plan. But in terms of an emergency exit gate, if they could just put one in that corner of that wall, just on the opposite side of the existing house there, they've got their emergency exit. I'm not saying it's the only answer, it's a solution. In terms of the neighborhood, I was out there rallying the troops against this. We've changed our minds. They've come to us. The houses are no smaller than the ones in Sterling Estates, Sterling Cove. So they're a good size. It's a doable plan, and I think it makes sense. And probably if it weren't for me at the Planning Commission, none of those rejections would have happened. Because I got up and made a stink. So I want to withdraw that.
Okay. You
Thank you
support
very
the
much,
project
Paul.
as it is. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to speak that has not had an opportunity yet? If so, would you come forward and name and address, please?
I'm Lisa Waldvogel at 7450 Los Pueblos Way. in the Los Conejos community that Mario mentioned earlier. We had the community meeting after the last meeting we had here because we had some homeowners that still had questions. The last meeting was a little confusing because I think it wasn't conveyed as well or as clearly as it has been today about the setbacks, about the concern for encroachment and, the size and the spatial. I'm in support of this project. I'm really thrilled that they're, proposing this because I think it's going to be a huge asset to this community and absolutely will increase our values of our property as well as revenue for the city. And they're beautiful when you look at the plans. And as far as I can tell, and most of my neighbors are in favor, the flow, the way it is designed now, as opposed to the other plan, is much better. And to me, it seems a safer flow for fire, emergency, police. Seems like much, much better plan. So I encourage you to support this proposal. I'm in support of it, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for coming today. Since Mario, I don't see anybody else that needs to speak. You want to sum up?
Yeah. Obviously, this is a big concern to everybody, and we can go back and forth with the legalese, look at title reports and everything else. I just spoke to my partner, Steve Hyman, and one consideration that we would ask and we would propose is that if we lost a lot, as you suggested earlier, Mayor, and instead of 18 lots, and we have like 12 lots around the northwest that fan around, if you can remember how the plan looked, that we would go ahead and lose a lot that would allow us to add the footage in that knuckle. And if the colony folks would like to help us in some costs, we could maybe double wall something there, which is not favorable to do. We've done it in the city before, but I know we don't really like that. And maybe what we do is we put a nice decorative gate in that corner. And God forbid, if something ever does happen, they have access to, open it. So as we're listening here, to discussions, and I'm very pleased to hear that we did get some people who turned this thing around. And I believe that, again, I've been kind about the Planning Commission meeting. I've been a resident, and it's going to change my thinking a little bit about maybe I should join them. But anyhow, I say that respectfully, but it was out of control. And your city attorney had to make up some excuses for them to deny it. It didn't make sense. But anyway, we're willing to lose a lot in that area and spread it out a little bit, put a double wall in there, and where that storm drain is going to come, we could put a gate up against their property and give them what they need to have. But we would also like to have them help us with that cost because we're obviously losing a whole lot and we're losing revenue.
Great solution there.
And I just want to remind the folks that we have a 31800 is approved, and we could file that map the way it is, and we have that right now. Am I right, Steve? I could go do that plan, and I have the zoning for the Shevlin property, and I please don't take this as a threat, okay? Because I work with you guys really well, but I'll go build it the way it is, and I'll still get my 18 lots. But, we have taken a very, very difficult situation here. And we spent a lot of time, staff, attorney, everybody. And, I think we came up with a great plan. But that's an option.
Well, I think that's an excellent option.
Yeah. You certainly have a better layout here than the two different tracks. No question about it.
And if we could move on and we could expedite this process so that we don't continue to burn up interest and our money lost and paying taxes for something that's just dirt, we'd love to go ahead and get your support.
Well, Mario, wouldn't we have to redesign? You would have to redesign the tentative track map to some extent.
We could look at guys. We could go back and change things. Yeah, we just change it out and move some lot lines. We all been doing this for 30 years. We know what to do. But I'd like to have your support to go through staff over the counter and not have to go through all these public agencies. I'm making the property less dense.
Mari, we always support you. You do a great project, so I don't see any reason why we can't help you here.
Okay, is there any way we could bypass planning commission and come straight here with PDP
Isn't that
plan?
a question of law, Steve, is it?
I mean, can we have
Unfortunately
a
for you.
joint meeting to try to
Well, I
try to
think
just
that the
get this
planning
thing going?
commission's attitude will probably be different because it sounds like you have a lot of support from the residents in Colony now. And I understand that there was a lot of confusion because there was a misinformation and the fact that I think a lot of the public thought you were coming forward with architectural plans, which is going to come later as you build the houses. Randy, do you want to pipe in?
No, you
But
can't
you have to go
bypass the
back.
planning commission. Nice try, though.
I mean, can we have a joint hearing or something? I mean, to make up some time?
No, but
We
I'm
could
sure
expedite it,
planning
couldn't
can
we?
expedite the process. Absolutely.
We could expedite it, get it.
I'm willing to give up.
Back
I'm
at the
willing to
earliest
try to
point.
make
I
some
think
peace here.
legally
Remember
we
two
can't
summers
make a
ago we
major
skipped
change.
planning because there was a scheduling issue and they could get a quorum together, and so the city council stepped in and approved a number of
remember
house
that.
projects.
I think that was a development
Two summers
agreement.
ago?
I believe that was a development agreement or the marijuana dispensary issue. When you're dealing with the tentative tract map, when it comes to the council and the council has some substantive changes, which would be a substantive change here, which is a good one, sounds like, that does have to go back to planning.
Look,
Well, I mean,
here's
I
the thing.
have-
You can if you sit down, you might get your project approved today, and then you can start your grading and get working on the project while the development plan's going through, and it would be seamless to pull your permits right when you're done with your grading project. The PDP is not going to take a long time to process. Is that right, Bud? Go ahead. Come on.
And Mario, I'll promise I will attend that planning commission meeting.
It was embarrassing.
I think we're talking about a couple of different things here. One, the PDP with the house designs, that does have to go through the Architecture Review Board, Planning Commission, and Council. We don't have an application for that yet.
Oh.
But today, if the council is favorably looking upon the tract that's before you with one less lot and what you just heard, we could certainly, if the council would like, you could certainly consider approving the project with the condition that one of the lots be eliminated on the outer tier and the pedestrian access be worked out,
Subject to staff approval of the design.
subject to staff approval, and that way they know that they have the same density as the Sterling Cove. They know how many lots they have. They can go to the Colony Mobile Home Park and work out the details on the easement as far as cost splitting. That would be up to them. But when it goes to the Planning Commission, all the Planning Commission's going to review is the architecture of the homes on the 18 lots with the common area landscaping.
Well, but I think by the time they work this out with the Colony homeowners, we'd have time to go back to the Planning Commission. I mean, we're only talking about 14
Right.
days if we do the notice today.
Well, yeah, but what we're talking about is the council approving the project, subject to staff review of the revised map. He's working with the Colony right now. If they're able to work it out, get the project approved, he can start his grading, get working. There's a lot of prep work. During that time, we'd be processing the development plan.
And the development plan...
He doesn't lose any time.
No, he's not losing any time, and the development plan would probably hit the Planning Commission. If we get the application now, probably hit the Planning Commission in somewhere around 60 to 90 days, and get to the City Council in about 90 to 120 days.
Okay, well, we can work it out, Bud, right?
Well, that's what it always takes, Mario.
Okay.
Pardon?
We can work it out, we can make it work time-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I don't think I have any other input from the audience, so we will close the public hearing and come back to the council for comments and thoughts.
Well, how would we make a motion to accomplish what we have just agreed to?
I got it.
Well, it's very easy.
We need some conditions in there.
Before you get to that point, what if the colony says, no, we won't participate in any costs regarding this?
He's going to have to come back and
come
back.
Did they say, that's your obligation? Mario says, well, we can't take that on. Then where do we stand?
Well, there's another issue as well.
There's several issues.
Okay, well, before Mario comes up, let's address the issues and find out what we're doing here, and then we can go back, okay? Dana, do you want to?
Well, I was going to say the other issue that was germane to what we were talking about is I'm not sure of how the city fits into this, but considering that the city recognizes an issue that produces a significant amount of danger in the event of some type of an emergency to the residents of the Colony Mobile Home Park, does the city have access to any funding source that it could participate, not solely or exclusively, but participate with the Colony, participate with the development, Mario and his group, and help effect that emergency exit that the Colony clearly needs? And if there is a way for the city to participate, then in that expense, which I can't imagine is going to be all that great, that we should consider that as a possibility as well as we move this forward.
Sure, the city can participate in the cost of that. Whether we have a fund for it now or we do it as part of the mid-year budget adjustment, which will be coming before the council in the next month, we could figure that out.
Yeah, I don't think that work should stand in the way of keep getting this project going. So
we can share the
cost. Nor do I.
Yeah. Okay, Ted, did you have any other issues you wanted to discuss here? Scott, you're okay? Okay, Iris? Good. Okay, so we were talking about...
Why don't you see if the applicant had a discussion with the Colony?
Yeah, that's right. We'll reopen the public hearing. Mario, if you have any input on your discussion with the Colony.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for opening up the discussions again. I certainly appreciate Councilman Hobart's consideration there. I did speak with the Colony, and they can't make that type of commitment. There's a couple things here. We're willing to lose a lot. We're going to lose revenue. We paid a lot of money for the property. If we can get some kind of support from you folks and work with them and make it appropriate there, put the lots in, we would love that support. I just want to be clear that, I'd like to make sure that, I have the option to go ahead with what I have and what I own, okay? So I could do that, but I'd like to, come to some type of agreement today. I'd like, if we could lose the lot and city would be, willing to help me. This gave Nabisco $200,000, so maybe we could get a few bucks. And I say this respectfully, but if we could work together with something that made some sense, we can go ahead and take the lot out, give these folks a nice, and in that little, it's going to be a no man's land of 15 feet, so we're going to be able to put some landscaping. It's going to be like a sliver of land when you drive in there. It's not going to be really appealing or anything, but if we can have that commitment from you folks, we can move on.
Okay.
And I really appreciate the consideration.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing. And we need a motion.
I'd make the motion. I just don't know how to word it.
Yeah, okay. Steve?
So the only change is that you're going to reduce the number of homes to 17, and you're going to provide some sort of easement, an emergency exit easement for the benefit of the residents of Colony Mobile Home Park. Is there any other changes? Okay.
Yes, I had.
Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah. I mean, I'm asking you and them.
That would be correct.
So that's acceptable to you.
That would be correct.
Okay. And the details of that easement, you will work out with Colony.
Yes, and I'd like to be able
Subject
to
to
do that, without having
staff.
to go back and recreate the wheel, and just slide some stuff over. And it's only for pedestrian.
Right. So he's part of the development agreement. He provides that he has to indemnify the city in the event somebody sues the city for bypassing the planning commission. So that sounds like there's little risk that will happen with this change.
That's not going to happen.
Okay. So my recommendation, if there are no further changes to what staff presented in the staff report, is that you move to...
Steve, on page 9-11, the council would have 5 motions, and on the 4th motion, it would say approval of the tentative track map and change it from 18 lot to a 17 lot, single-family subdivision. Subject to a revised design as approved by staff, and then the rest of the language there.
Okay,
Right?
so as you approve all of these items, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 items, and 5, and just make those all subject to a decrease in the number of units to 17, and providing a fire exit,
Pedestrian.
a pedestrian, emergency pedestrian exit to the benefit of the residents of Colony Mobile Home Park. And then we're not going to deal with the maintenance issue or construction issue.
And then
That's something different.
The other ones were noted on the screen, were items talked about after the meeting. Those were deletion of 10 and the modification to 67.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll just make your motion subject to these changes, and we'll go through all the documents and make sure those changes are all made.
Why don't you just go ahead and describe what the motion would be so that I can just say, that's my motion.
So a proposed motion could read that number 1, that the City Council adopt a categorical exemption pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act as the vacant disturbed site can be classified as infill development pursuant to Section 15332, Class 32.
Yes, Steve, by the way, he's reading off of page 9-11.
Yes.
Under recommendations.
Mine's -91.
Go to 9-11.
I mean, 9/11 on mine.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be the same thing, but
Yeah, it's
I'm
gonna be
taking out the... Number 2, adopt an ordinance approving development agreement case number DA13001 pursuant to Chapter 1756 of the Municipal Code, subject to the terms and conditions set forth therein and in the staff report, reflecting a change in the number of units to 17 units and the granting of a pedestrian emergency exit to the benefit of the residents of Colony Mobile Home Park. And the other 2 recommended changes that were just presented on the screen
Regarding
hydrology and the requirement pertaining to the 4 homes in the HOA, meaning that they don't have to join the HOA.
Right. That's going to be...
Approve tentative tract map 36623 for a 17-lot single-family subdivision on 6.86 acres that includes portions of tentative tract map 31800, final phase, subject to the conditions of approval and based on the findings and contents of the staff report, subject to the same conditions imposed on the development agreement. And approve the street name change, case number STN 130001, a request to change Tangerine Lane to Verlaine Drive for tract number 31800-1, Lot A, and tentative tract map 36623 pursuant to the requirements of Chapter 15.58 of the zoning code, and subject to approval of the easement by staff. Oh, did I miss number 3? Oh, an adoption of an ordinance approving general plan zoning map amendment, case number GPZ MA 13001, based on the content of the staff report, which includes a staff recommendation that the site be changed from RL2, very low density, 2 dwelling units per acre maximum, and RM medium density, 4 dwelling units per acre maximum, to RL3, low density residential, 3 dwelling units per acre maximum for development of 17 residential lots.
Right.
Okay. Everybody understand the motion? Dana, are you going to make that a motion?
That is my motion.
Okay.
Partially.
And provide the city attorney with a raise.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Please vote. And the motion carries 5-0.
Can we?
And we're going to adjourn for 10 minutes.
Okay, can I speak with the colony people here for just 1 second? And why don't you come too, because I just want to tell them that
We'll be back in 10 minutes.
We should have a meeting.
Okay, we're going to reopen the meeting, and there are four of us. Councilman Hines has left for the hospital, so we're going to do one more item today, and then we're going to continue item number 12 until 2 weeks from today. So, pardon me? We did Kraft Nabisco, remember?
Right. So we have one left, Mr. Mayor, number 11.
So we have one item left, and that's the item number 11, consideration of changing the name of Whitewater Park to Rancho Mirage Community Park. And Bruce Harry is going to give us the details on this. Bruce?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, staff. Before you today is a recommendation from the Community Parks and Recreation Commission to rename the Whitewater Park to Rancho Mirage Community Park. This item was first presented to the City Council by the City Manager back on November 7th of last year. A request was made at that time to rename the Whitewater Park. The City Council and staff discussed that matter at that meeting at length, and it was the decision of the City Council to ask the residents of Rancho Mirage their opinion on whether the Whitewater Park should be renamed, and if so, what name it should be. Staff prepared a resident ballot, which was included in the January 2014 mailing of RM Magazine to all Rancho Mirage households. The ballot asked residents to provide the City Council with their opinion on whether the Whitewater Park should be renamed, and if so, what would their recommendation be. The deadline to return ballots was February 7th. The city received 1,110 completed ballots by that deadline. 68% of the ballots recommended the park name be changed. Of the 68%, 30% recommended the name of Rancho Mirage Park, 26% recommended the name Rancho Mirage Community Park, 6% recommended the name Magnesia Falls or Magnesia Springs Park, and the remaining 14% had numerous other names. The Community and Parks and Rec Commission, at their February 12th meeting, reviewed the balloting results and unanimously approved a recommendation to the City Council today that the Whitewater Park be renamed to Rancho Mirage Community Park. The Commission felt that the park needed a Rancho Mirage identity, and with the planned park improvements, which are scheduled to be completed by the spring of 2015, the park will offer numerous amenities for all age groups and encompass an outdoor amphitheater that will certainly provide a needed gathering place for numerous community events that can be enjoyed by all residents and visitors. Staff supports the Community Parks and Recreation Commission's recommendation of changing the name to Rancho Mirage Community Park, and I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Great job on putting that together.
Yes, thank you.
When would you anticipate we will make the change if we vote to make a change?
What we'd like to do is make this an addendum with the plans that are currently out so we can get the sign made, so when the new park opens, it will have this new name. And we could do something with a groundbreaking with the contractor unveiling the new name of the park, which would be sometime in probably, I would say, late May, early June.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions of staff? Iris, Dana? Okay, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. We've got two people in the audience, three people, I'm sorry. Would you like to comment on any one of these items?
Lieutenant?
Well, you raised your hand.
We one of our commissioners.
Instead of naming it Riverside County Sheriff's Park or something like that? Okay, one vote back there. Okay, nobody in the audience would like to speak, so could we have a motion from the council?
I'll make a motion the City Council approve changing of the name of Whitewater Park to Rancho Mirage Community Park.
All right, second.
Okay, everybody understand the motion?
No.
Okay. Please vote. And the motion carries 4-0 with one absent. Councilman Hines is absent. Okay, at this time, we're going to continue item number 12, which is to establish the Arts and Cultural Coordinator till the next meeting, which will be April
2nd?
April 2nd.
3rd?
April 3rd?
April 3rd.
Okay, and
What was the reason for that, Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Hines had some input that he wanted to make, and it's not time critical, so that we can discuss it a little bit more fully. Is that okay? Okay. Okay, so we're now going to adjourn, or we're going to recess to closed session, and the city attorney will discuss those items which we're going to cover.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Council recessed into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8 to confer with its real property negotiator regarding property located at 70-801 Highway 111. The council will also confer with the city attorney's office regarding potential litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 regarding 2 potential cases. Council will also confer with the city attorney regarding existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. Those include the following cases: City of Rancho Mirage versus All Valley Desert Cooperative, Desert Valley Patients Association versus City of Rancho Mirage, Rancho Mirage versus Spot Collective. Just 3. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And with that, we'll adjourn this meeting to closed session.